Hello, Jonathan.
Hello, Dick. You have a consumer problem. Hello.
I do. Where to start?
Well, without naming any company names, please.
No, I won't
Start
do that.
at the beginning if you would.
Right, a couple of years ago, I bought myself a new audio-visual amplifier. And if anyone doesn't know what that is, basically it's a box of electronics. You connect to your Blu-ray DVD player, and you put lots of speakers on it. And the idea is to reproduce a cinema sound in your own home.
Lovely. Great if you haven't got neighbours.
I don't have it that loud. No. Anyway, I bought this. I paid £1,789 for it, and it's been great. I've had about 8 of these over the past 40-odd years and never had a problem with any of them. Anyway, switched this one on a few weeks ago, started smoking, so I turned it off. I thought, well, check the guarantee, and it was 8 weeks over. It was a 2-year warranty, and it was 8 weeks out. But I thought, well, I'll contact the retailer. So I contacted them, told them my problem, and they gave me an address of a repair centre that would look at it. So I wasn't too happy about that. So I contacted the manufacturer, and they gave me the same address.
Right. OK, let me just stop you there, because sometimes, in my experience, what tends to happen at this point is you start to be sent down a rabbit hole in the hope that you'll get lost down there and will never reappear.
Oh, right. Okay.
What tends to happen in my experience is a lot of retailers, when you go to them, they say, oh, yes, sorry, it's out of this year long. You get a year's warranty with it's out of that. So, you'd now need to go and talk to the manufacturer, or you'd need to go and speak to an independent repair company, or, you're sent off to speak to basically try and give the problem to someone else to deal with. Always be confident in your knowledge that your contract is with the company you paid the money to.
Yeah.
And if the product has not lasted for a reasonable amount of time, and certainly just over a year would not be considered a reasonable amount of time.
Well, it's 2 years, actually. It was a 2-year warranty.
Even so, it should have lasted longer than that. The retailer is responsible. Not the manufacturer, not the independent repair shop, the retailer. Right. And anything, if you are ending up having conversations with manufacturers and all that, to be honest with you, it's just wasting your time. Because the retailer is the company responsible. Now, a few basic things. Firstly, how much did you pay for the amplifier?
£1,789.
Okay, so it's really expensive.
Yeah.
Very good quality one, I presume, for that kind of money.
It was going to be the last one I ever intended to buy, so I thought I'd get a good one.
Right.
And it was fine until, say, it went wrong.
And what was the approximate date of purchase?
Oh, you're asking now.
Just month. The month and the year is fine.
It was end of November 2018.
Okay, fine. So, and it went wrong in when? December 2020?
No, sort of middle of January.
January 21.
Yeah.
Okay. And this amplifier, I presume... you've been using it in a reasonable way. I mean, I don't know quite what you could actually do wrong with an amplifier, but you've not been using it excessively or having the volume absolutely cranked up to maximum or anything like that on it?
No, two or three times a week I watch a movie, and that's about it.
Okay. And where was the smoke coming out of this amplifier?
Out of the back.
Right.
I could smell it first. I could smell, electronics burning. That smell.
I do, yeah.
And I switched it off.
Okay.
Now, went from there.
Now, the retailer, what they are entitled to do, just so you are clear, if the retailer was to say to you, well, look, this is now over 2 years since you purchased it from us. Therefore, we're not sure why this has stopped working. We would like you to go away and to have an independent company have a look at it and to write a report on it. If the report comes back and says that this is a manufacturing component that has failed on the product in an unreasonable amount of time, then of course we will get it all sorted and we'll reimburse you for any costs that you've incurred in terms of proving that. That would be totally fair. And if they said, for example, but if, of course, the independent repairer looks at it and works out that you've spilt a vase of water all the way down the back of it, and that's what's caused the problem, then obviously you have to understand you're going to be on your own. We're not going to sort that out. If they were taking that kind of approach, that would be perfectly reasonable.
Yeah.
But it sounds as if they weren't necessarily saying that to you.
No, they didn't really say anything. They just said, oh, here's an address to send it to, and they'll have a look at it.
Right. It sounds as if I need to go and have a little chat with this retailer and just remind them of their obligations under the... Have you heard of the Consumer Rights Act, Dick?
I have, yeah.
Yeah, well, that's what this is all under. When you buy any product from a British retailer, you are entitled, and this is set in law. This isn't just something that, someone's come up with. This is legislation. You are protected by the law in this country.
All right.
Any product you purchase must be fit for purpose. It must be of reasonable quality, and it must last for a reasonable amount of time. And if a product has not lasted for a reasonable amount of time, if it's not of reasonable quality, then the law states that the retailer has to sort it. So this is not just some kind of abstract thing that I'm coming out with. The law of the land states that you are entitled to expect that amplifier to last for a reasonable amount of time. I can't think of anyone who would say that when you've spent £1,789 on an amplifier, that it's perfectly okay for it to start smoking 2 years later. I can't think of anyone that would say that's reasonable.
No.
There is a question that's come in, and this is a good question worth putting to you. There's no way that you've put more than the recommended amount of speakers on this amplifier, is there?
No. There's only so many sockets on the back you can connect it to, and.
Okay, so it's not as if you've overloaded it in any way.
No.
Okay.
It's been great for 2 years. It's been fine.
Yeah. Okay. Well, it sounds like we need to go and have a little word, and as I say, just explain the Consumer Rights Act to this retailer. Tara, can we get some detail, please? Can we just go and have a word with them?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's ridiculous.
I bet you're missing it if you're eager to watch a film at the moment, Dick.
Well, I am. I'm staring at a blank space in the corner.
Oh,
Absolutely.
dear.
And once you're used to surround sound, there's no going back.
I know.
That's right.
Absolutely not. But you don't want smoke coming out your amplifier.
No.
It's not conducive to an enjoyable film watching experience. What I'm going to do, I'll pass you back to Tara now. We'll get some detail. We'll go and have a word, okay?
Okay, thanks.
Now, Jeff purchased 2 separate single mattresses for the super king-size bed that he shares with his wife. Now, previously, they had a very heavy Super King version of this mattress from the same manufacturer, purchased from the same shop. So Jeff said that when they realised that the mattress was just too heavy for them to turn, they went back to the shop, explained the situation, and they purchased what they thought was exactly the same mattress, but in 2 single versions.
We was very, very happy with that. We got rid of it because it was very, very heavy, and they recommend you turn them every 2 or 3 months, over, backwards, sideways, and what are you? Because it had a hot and a cold side, summer and winter side. Mm-hmm. It just got too much. That was the only reason why we changed to 2 singles. When they arrived, the first night we used them, it was absolutely diabolical. They were changing their range. They were waiting for the new range to come in. But I said to the guy, look, providing they're from the same company and they're firm and the same as what I had last time, I'm happy just to go along with that. I phoned her up and said, look, I'm not happy with both these mattresses. She says, you got what you paid for. I said, no, hold on. I haven't got what I paid for because I don't think they're firm as they should be.
Well, this is very interesting, and in fact I can completely relate to this experience because I, for many years, had exactly the same mattress that Jeff bought. He's back on the JVS show now. Hello, Jeff.
Morning, Jonathan.
Now, this is a very well-made bed company, very well-made beds, very well-made, handmade, tailor-made beds. full of natural materials, lots of springs. It should be a very good quality bed. The simple fact is that you had a certain name of mattress. They're all given different names. You had a certain name, and you thought that in buying two singles with the same name, that would mean that you were getting the same mattress that you'd had previously. What it would appear the shop did not tell you was that in the couple of years since you'd purchased the original bed, the spring count in that mattress had changed, and that therefore the structure of the mattress had changed. The kinds of springs that were used may well have changed, and therefore it was absolutely imperative that you should try the new version of that mattress before going ahead and purchasing it, because it was completely different. And in fact, when you then received the two single mattresses, you realised how different it was.
Yeah.
So, my comment to this retailer was that surely they had a duty of care to you to have advised you in the same way. For example, when I contacted a bed company and I said, look, I've got this certain make of mattress with this name. It's been really comfortable for the last 11 years, been lovely. Can I have the new version of it? The man in the shop said, you can, but it's a completely different mattress to the one you would have bought 11 years ago. It's got the same name, but it's completely different because all the springs have changed. So you do really need to try it.
They never offered me that, though, Jonathan.
No, well, and that's the point. They should have done. And indeed, when I went into the shop and I tried the mattress that I had, it felt completely different in the shop. It was they've just changed all the springs that are used in there, so it was a completely different feeling bed. And I ended up going for well, of course, sod's law. It was a much more expensive version, but it was a different mattress, and I'm now sleeping on that, and it's extremely comfortable. But it's all about the advice you were given at the point of sale. Now, I've contacted this company. I contacted not only the company but also the manufacturer just to make them aware of what's going on. They came back. They have said, as a family business operating for nearly 40 years, we have an excellent reputation in the local area with many thousands of satisfied customers. As a duty of care, at the point of sale, our salesperson did point out that this particular mattress was no longer available, but there was a new version of the mattress, and that there had been a specification change on this range. In fact, we didn't have the new version on display in a firm tension, so we were reluctant to sell the mattresses to him without him trying them. Jeff chose to proceed with the order and had been in store, so would have seen that this particular mattress was on display with a different spring count, as it clearly stated that on the bed and the price card. Now, I don't know if you want to respond to that, but they're in effect saying you were in the store, you would have seen that the mattress count, the spring count, would have changed.
That is a complete lie. I was in the store. The bloke did tell me 100% the range has changed, yes, and they were waiting for the beds to come in. But under no circumstances did he say to me, the specification has changed. I would have held on, because the simple reason is it had to be the same, Jonathan, the firmness. They're lying through their teeth.
Hang on a second. You have a different version of events, I think it's safe to say. But they certainly seem to feel that they made it clear to you, and in fact it was clear on the display model that the spring count had changed from the mattress that you had purchased a few years before. Now, they go on to say that this company viewed the mattresses in question at your property and found them to be as expected, firmer than the medium and gentle models which were on display at our store. Jeff's suggestion, and as a professional bed retailer, it was agreed as a gesture of goodwill we would replace one mattress and he could persuade his wife into keeping hers, they say in their response. I don't know, is that something you recall having said, that you would try and persuade your wife to keep hers?
What I said was, I'll talk to my wife. on the regards would she wanted it or not, and the answer was no, definitely no. We spent a lot of money, Jonathan. There was no way that I would spend that kind of money on the understanding that they may do. I mean, if we'd have accepted, I mean, the fact of the matter is I don't know where the goodwill gesture comes in. I had a report done on an independent report done on these mattresses. And one of them, the one that I have only slept in for 6 hours, was not faulty. But the one my wife had been sleeping in was faulty. Now, surely, if it's coming up faulty, they have a duty to replace it.
Faulty in what way?
It was dipping. The spring count, I think you've got the report there.
Okay, well, I'll tell you what, let me carry on, because although I can understand some of this is frustrating you, I think it may come good in the end.
Well, actually, my wife just told me.
Well, hang on a second. Hang on a second. Let me just get to the end of this before we find out what your wife's told you. So, Jeff had an independent review of the mattresses, of which we received a copy, and once again, the independent review outlined there is no fault, they say. Having stated our comments above, we take our customer satisfaction very seriously, and as a further gesture of goodwill, will allow Jeff to reselect both mattresses at our cost. They go on to say, I'd also like to point out that all of the above has been while staff are part-time furloughed and trying to adhere to government guidelines with regards to COVID-19. Therefore, our store has been closed since Christmas. However, we have endeavoured to reply and keep in contact as much as we're able to, but it should be understood that we are operating with skeleton staff at the moment, mostly working from home. So after all of that, they do say that they, as a gesture of goodwill, will allow you and your wife to reselect both mattresses at their cost.
Well, I really do thank them for that, Jonathan. But
I knew there was a but coming.
Yeah, but they've done a lot of lying.
Hang on, Jeff. They're not here to defend themselves, and I'm advising you now, you're using a word that, if litigation becomes involved, will not be good for you. So I would advise you not to keep using that word. Okay,
I'm sorry. Okay, Jonathan, that's fine. I mean, if they're happy to replace both of the mattresses, then I'm happy. But also in the report, it did actually say, Jonathan, one was fit for purpose and okay, and the other one, reading down further, was not fit for purpose because the spring count wasn't sufficient support.
What do you mean the spring count wasn't sufficient support?
Well, that's the wording that it says on what they sent over.
Right.
There wasn't sufficient support.
Yes, but I mean, there's nearly 900 springs in the mattress, so in terms of the spring count, that should be plenty.
Well, I'm only saying what the report said.
Look, I'll tell you what. Look, let's just conclude this in a positive light, because the retailer has agreed that they're going to allow you to reselect both. Now, what you need to do is you need to try whatever you're going to be buying. And I would advise anybody listening to the programme, and so many people come to me with bed and mattress issues, and a lot of people find themselves in a position where they've got a mattress that they don't find comfortable and they haven't tried it in the store. I completely accept that from your perspective, you believed that you were getting what you'd already had previously, so there was no need to try it because it should feel exactly as the other one should. But it's always a good idea, particularly if you're going to be changing the size of the mattress, even if it's from an existing manufacturer and an existing model you've had before. Ask the question, is this exactly the same bed that I've had previously? Has it got the same springs, same filling? Will it feel the same in this size as it does in the double size or the king size that you've got on display in the shop? And that way you can hopefully prevent yourself finding yourself in a similar situation to you, Jeff, where you're lying in bed thinking, I cannot get to sleep, I'm so uncomfortable, this bed is not right for me. They're going to replace the mattresses for you at no cost to you. I call that a good result. I'm going to give them this. That's half of the horn. They'll get the rest as soon as you've got your new mattresses. I would just advise you, Jeff, in a spirit of trying to get this sorted, make sure you go in a positive way. And I wouldn't.
No, I will do. Yeah.
I would not certainly get too bogged down in who said what at that point. I don't think it's going to help anyone.
Well, I think it's just to let it go now. I mean, they've done the right thing as far as I'm concerned, and offered to replace both mattresses. I take it that they will accept that we could have the same kind of quality of mattresses, because there's mattresses and mattresses.
Yes, absolutely, there are mattresses and mattresses, and you may well find, as indeed I found, that if you want the same feel of bed from that same manufacturer's mattress, you're going to have to go for one with slightly different springs, and it may well cost you more money.
Yeah, I don't mind that. I'm all for paying. If it costs me more money, I don't mind.
Yeah, but just make sure you try it first, and make sure you spend a good amount of time lying on the mattress, at least 20 minutes on all sides of the mattress before you buy it, just to make sure that you are absolutely comfortable with it. Please let me know what happens, Jeff. Do you remember Maureen? Maureen came to me regarding her holiday cottage. In fact, it's not Maureen. It says here on my script, Maureen. It's Margaret, for goodness sake. Someone's written Margaret's name wrong. Margaret and her husband Les booked a package and a cruise holiday for April 2020. It cost them just over £6,700, but it was cancelled in February. At that point, they chose to rebook for April 2021, as it was a very special break.
Well, it was disgraceful. I mean, even the fridge wasn't clean. There was food still left in the fridge and in the kitchen drawers. When we first arrived, it looked lovely. But when you start opening drawers and actually looking, you can see that it's horrible. As soon as we realised that this wasn't the place to stay in, there was too much to do in it, we got in touch with the company, who had a helpline, and they replied straight away. And this lady that I spoke to, she was very apologetic, but she practically begged us to stay there. And I said, well, we're not staying because the place is filthy. A cleaner did eventually come in to look at it. She didn't come in to clean. She came in and looked at it the following day, and she said it would take 2 cleaners 8 hours to get this place up to her standards.
Yes, well, Margaret was not happy at all. When she first appeared on the programme, I was quite blunt, to be honest. I did say, look, there are 2 options here. Firstly, you're completely justified in your concerns, but there is always the possibility, and I speak from experience myself, some people are a bit fussy. And I did say to Margaret, look, I'd like to see the photos of what you're talking about so I can determine whether you're being reasonable or whether you are being fussy. Well, when I saw the photos, I was absolutely on Margaret's side. She's back on the JVS show now. Hello, Margaret.
Hello, Jonathan.
Hello, Margaret. I'm sorry that I at one point attempted to give you a different name there, but I do know who I'm speaking to, really. Now, Margaret, as you are aware, when I looked at those photos, I was appalled, particularly appalled, at the state of the towel rail in this house, which was disgusting. I mean, absolutely disgusting. There's no way you would ever want to put clean towels on it. It was just horrible. There were bits all over the floor. It was just it was clearly a house that had not been cleaned properly. And that was pretty outrageous when you consider the company had told you that you would need to not arrive until 7 o'clock in the evening because they needed all that extra time to perform a deep pre-COVID clean on it. So it's a bit ridiculous. Obviously, whoever was supposed to clean it had not cleaned it properly. Now, the company said to me when I first contacted them, as you are well aware, and this is a company called Suffolk Secrets, they said, we were sorry to hear of Margaret's complaints following her stay with Suffolk Secrets. We pride ourselves on our attention to detail and making sure all of our guests have a fantastic stay. In the unlikely event there's an issue, we ask all customers to contact us immediately so we can resolve it straight away. Margaret got in touch during her stay to make us aware of an issue with uneven flooring and the cleanliness of the property. A carpenter was called and rectified the flooring, and a cleaner attempted twice to enter the property to clean the cottage. but they were unable to gain access as there was no response from the guests and the key was not in the key safe. When customer services got in touch to arrange an alternative time to clean the property, Margaret contacted them to confirm that they'd carried out the clean-up themselves. The family continued their stay at the property for the remainder of their booking. Margaret was refunded £300 to cover the first 2 nights of the stay, in addition to the £89 to cover accommodation at a local B&B. A new housekeeper has also been appointed to ensure the property meets the standards expected of Suffolk Secrets. Well, you weren't happy with that response at all, were you, Margaret?
No, I wasn't. I had hoped. Since August last year, I've been trying to get £600 from them, really, to cover those nights and days that we weren't able to stay there.
Yes, but you were particularly frustrated, I seem to remember, when we spoke about the comment that they had tried to get in touch with you and they couldn't, and they had you'd gone out and taken the key with you, so they couldn't access the property. You said that's just not the case.
It's not the case, because when my husband left, whenever we left the property, we put the key in the key safe, and it had a long sort of pinky red tape on it. And we left the tape hanging down, so we would know, whenever we went back, we would know if anyone had entered the property while we were out. And every time we came back, the key was where we'd left it. So we knew nobody had been in.
So as far as you were concerned, you really felt that was not fair. And in fact, if they had sent the cleaners round there in a timely fashion, they would have been able to access the property and clean it for you, and it therefore wouldn't have been necessary for you to do it yourself. So the question is, what's happened, Margaret? Have you now received your money?
Jonathan, I have received a full refund now, and I'm ecstatic and really surprised because, as you know, I was only expecting 620. So to get a full refund, well, I don't know how you managed it, Jonathan, in just a few days when I couldn't manage even 600 in 6 months. So you must be so diplomatic and resourceful and level-headed to have managed to get it for me, and I thank you very much.
Well, to be fair to Suffolk Secrets, that was the offer that they wanted to make to you on reflection, so we will obviously thank them very much indeed. I hope that lessons have been learnt. I would imagine it's always difficult for companies where you're sending lots of different people to lots of different properties. You are a bit reliant on how good the cleaner is that is looking after a certain property, because, I don't know, have you ever had a cleaner, Margaret?
Not in my house, no.
Well,
no.
There are some good cleaners. I remember when my mum died, we needed to try and find a cleaner for my dad. And it was because my dad was working full-time at the time, and it was an absolute nightmare, Margaret. It really was. And we got through several cleaners. In fact, I had to fire 2 of them. One of them, I had a sneaky suspicion she wasn't cleaning the house properly, so I caught her out by turning up when she was there, only to find her and her son sitting on the furniture watching the Jeremy Kyle show.
No.
While she was being paid to clean my father's house. I was absolutely furious.
Well, I actually, once a fortnight, I drive up to Bedford and I clean the house for my elderly aunts. And I know it can take time, but there's no excuse for not doing it properly.
Yeah, but the point is, there's no excuse, absolutely. But the point is, there are good cleaners and there are bad cleaners. And I would imagine it's just unfortunate that when you are running a company where you've got lots of different cleaners going into lots of different properties, it only takes one to let the side down and not to do a good job. And before you know it, you've got a bit of a PR disaster on your hands. However, to be fair to Suffolk Secrets, they have more than made it all up to you by giving you a full refund. We will thank them very much indeed. Give them the full horn. Any other problems, Margaret, you know where we are. Now, Martin was paying into an additional voluntary contribution fund for 25 years. He thinks there's about £16,000 in the account, but he hasn't received a statement for over a year. Martin says he wants to withdraw £7,000 from the account to buy a car, but for some reason, it's been impossible.
They're just blaming delays on the IT upgrade system. They've promised to send me an information package for me to sort of consider various options before withdrawing the money. but the package has never arrived. They've promised this several times. I've been told that someone would return my call. This doesn't happen. I've even had a consultant put the phone down on me because I insisted on speaking to a manager.
Well, why can't Martin get his money? It's his money. He's asked for the money. He's apparently entitled to withdraw some of the money. Why will they not give him his money? Martin's back on the JVS show now. Hello, Martin.
Good morning.
Hello, Martin. Tara's been speaking to the company. Tara, what have they had to say?
Okay, do you know where it was? Which one it was? Okay, so the company is Prudential, and they sent me a statement through. We're sorry that some of our customers have not been receiving the service they would expect, and we are working hard to resolve the situation as quickly as possible. You might have actually read some things about it in the national press, actually. And I know that Martin is aware of this, and they say we've encountered some problems when implementing a new system designed to improve outcomes for our customers, and the situation has been escalated to the highest level within Prudential. We would like to emphasise that there will be no financial detriment to a member's claim or investment as a result of the delays. Once again, we apologise for the inconvenience this issue is causing. Martin, what do you think to that?
It sounds like the same old story to me.
You have heard something similar, haven't you, in terms of implementing this new system and the technology with that causing an issue?
How long have you been trying to get your money for?
Since November.
Well, I mean, how long does it take, for goodness sake? And is there anything... I didn't hear anything in that statement that suggested, oh yes, please be aware we will be paying Martin the money within the next couple of days. There's still no time frame as to when he's actually going to get the money, is there? There
is a little bit more information, but it wasn't in the official statement. They're looking and hoping to be able to resolve Martin's claim by this week.
Right, OK. Well, I mean, if it happens this week, Martin, if you get the money this week, then that will be great.
That would be great, yes, thank you.
Because that's all you want, is to get your money. But, I mean, well, it's interesting that they didn't put that. Why would they not put that in the main statement? If, in fact, they're planning to pay Martin the money that he's looking for this week, surely they would say, we've pulled out all the stops and we're going to do it this week. It's bizarre.
Well, I'm hoping there is something in this. The fact that they want to emphasise that there'll be no financial detriment to a member's claim or investment as a result of the delays. The thing is, it has put you out, hasn't it, Martin?
It has, yes, considerably.
So you were hoping to buy a car with this. So what did you do to be able to manage that?
Rather unfortunately, because I needed the car fairly urgently, I actually borrowed the money from my 92-year-old mother, which, of course, would have been to get the loan. It would cost me money.
Well, I mean, I guess the good thing is that as soon as you receive the money, you will be able to pay her back, and hopefully that will happen this week. I'll tell you what we'll do, Martin. Let's see what happens this week. I know you feel as if you've heard it all before, but we're not going to go anywhere until you've received the money that you're due. So let's catch up later on in the week, and fingers crossed you will say, it's great news, I've got £7,000 sitting in my account. OK?
That's very good of you. Thank you very much.
OK, Martin, thank you very much indeed. Right, now to Fulvio. Fulvio ordered 2 new vertical blinds for a window at his property. A representative from this company came round to measure up, and the contract was signed.
A good week before they were even supposed to be fitted, it was getting a bit cold, and we were getting quite chilly in the lounge and whatever, and we sat and looked at it, and because it's a big window, if you can imagine it, it's a span of 4 metres 200, but the bottom half is all PVC. The top half is double glazed, and I thought, you know what, the cold through the PVC, if I box the reveal and put fiberglass in there, it'll make it warmer. I can hang the radiator up there by putting a stub on. It would make it a lot better. The blinds, which are floor to ceiling, I really want them shortened just over 1 metre. It's my fault. I'll take the blame for it. I should have thought about it before. I'm willing to pay for alterations.
Well, the company said no. They said that he would need to order whole new blinds. And Fulvio said, I just don't understand, why can't they, if they make the blinds, why can't they just adapt them? I'm happy to pay for the adaptation. Why do I have to have a whole new set of blinds? Well, Fulvio's back on the JVS show now. Hello, Fulvio.
Hello, Jonathan.
Hi. So I did explain to you that ultimately the company does not have to do anything to help you. if you've ordered something from them, and as long as they are prepared to provide you with what you have ordered, the fact that you now want to change the actual specification, that's up to you. They don't have to accommodate that. However, I can understand from your perspective, this is a company that you were under the impression would be manufacturing these blinds. Why can they not just cut the bottom off them and readjust them? You're happy to pay for the time for them to do that. It may not be that simple, though. I've been off to speak to the company concerned. They are Hillary's Blinds, and they've come back with this response. As part of our in-home service, our local expert advisors will visit a customer's home and measure for the product that they're interested in. They are shown a sample of the product they wish to order, and they sign our terms and conditions that outlines our cancellation policy. We completely appreciate that customers change their minds, and we offer everyone a 48-hour cooling-off period where they're more than welcome to get in touch and cancel their order with a full refund. Unfortunately, in this situation, the customer first got in touch with us 14 days after originally placing the order, and as such, the product had already left our factory, ready to be fitted the next day. As all our products are made to measure to the exact customer's specifications, once the manufacturing process has begun, we are then unable to amend, reuse, or resell the blind. Due to the technicalities that go into mass-producing made-to-measure blinds, it isn't as easy as removing louvres and cutting them down. The machinery we use is designed for large-scale operations, and it would be impossible to ensure a precise and accurate amend to a product if we reintroduced an individual order into that process. As a business, we will always try and be flexible with our customers, and if there is an opportunity to amend the order, we will do our best to accommodate. However, this is completely reliant on where the order is in the manufacturing process. So in effect, Fulvio, no, they can't amend it. They're not prepared to. You've got what you ordered. You had a cooling off period. You didn't change your mind in the cooling off period, and therefore they're happy to provide you with what you've ordered, but it can't be changed now.
Very disappointed, I'm afraid to say, Jonathan.
Well, there are two options that are available to you. Option number one is that you organise with Hillary's Blinds for them to remake the blinds for the size that you actually want now, not the original size as agreed.
Yeah.
The other option, and I had a number of people contacting the programme after the last time you were on, who run local blind companies. And I don't know, did it ever occur to you to speak to a local retailer about this?
Yes, it did occur to me, but because I was going to a big, respectable company, I thought they would be a lot better. And as
well, to be fair, they haven't done anything wrong. They've made you the blinds.
I would question mark that, because on.
Well, you might. I wouldn't.
We've got 48 hours notice.
Yeah.
From when the order was placed. That was never explained to me.
Well, it would have been on the terms and conditions that you signed. Now, look, let's rather than... Because as I've tried to explain to you before, Fulvio, I don't believe they've done anything wrong here.
Well, yeah, I won't say they've done it. Like I said, it's my fault.
Yes, it is. So in terms of what you can do to solve the problem, you can either get them to remake them. The other alternative is that you take the blinds from Hillary's and you have them adapted by a local company, because some companies have suggested that they can do that with your existing blinds. So what I would do at this stage, if I were in your position, is firstly to find out how much Hillary's would charge you to remake the blinds to the size that you need, and then also to find out from a local company close to you, if you were to supply them with the louvres, how much would it cost for them to cut them down and to remake them? And then at least you can make a decision as to what the best thing to do is.
Oh, definitely. But like I said, They were supposed to send me a quote for new blinds. That hasn't happened.
Okay, well, I can certainly go back to them and I can ask them what is the cost for remaking the blinds to a different size. And if you'd like to go and speak to some local companies and just find out how much they are likely to charge for adapting them, that's probably the best way forward. And then you can make a decision as to the best and most sensible way of proceeding. Hello, Lisa. I gather you have a consumer problem. Tell me all about it without naming any company names, please.
Okay. I purchased a television in November 2017, so I know it's 3 years old. I went to switch it on one day and it kept blinking on and off. I tried it a few times throughout the day, kept doing the same thing. So I thought, I know that the company has a technical department. I thought I'd give them a ring just in case it was something silly that I was doing to it. The chap said to me that it hadn't lasted a reasonable length of time under this Consumer Rights 2015.
What, the man at the retailer said that?
Yeah, over the phone.
Okay. It's very unusual for a retailer to ever admit that.
Well, that's what he was basing it on, and said I could pay an assessment fee. They would collect it, have a look at it. If it was not my fault, and that it was a fault of the actual TV itself, then they would look at repairing it for me.
Yes.
So off the telly went, and a week later I had the TV returned, and with a repair note on it saying that they can't get the parts are unavailable. Whilst I was reading the report, the delivery driver unwrapped the TV and said, it's damaged. Did you realise? Which it wasn't. There was no damage to it whatsoever other than the fault that it went off with. Told me to ring customer services again.
Well, hang on. You say it wasn't damaged. Do you mean it wasn't damaged before it went to them, or it wasn't damaged when it came back from them?
No, it wasn't damaged when it went off to them.
Was it damaged when it came back?
The fault. When they brought it back in, he unwrapped it.
Yeah.
And the screen was scratched, the stand was scratched, all underneath was scratched.
Right. So they had it had been damaged while it was in their care.
Yes, yeah. So he told me to contact the customer services, which I did. They said actually the TV shouldn't have been returned to me in the first place because they couldn't get the parts. But obviously now that it had been damaged, it needed to go back to them to be reassessed. And normally they would offer me a like-for-like replacement.
Well, they need to, I mean, as far as the Consumer Rights Act outlines, they would need to either replace the TV for you, or if they wanted to, what they could do is to come to a financial agreement with you where they pay you a proportion of the money that you paid them with a deduction for fair usage that you'd had from the previous TV.
Yes, yeah. And that I understood that, and that was okay.
How much was the TV in the first place, by the way?
I paid $629 for it.
How big is it?
55-inch.
Okay. So, yeah, and that was 3 years ago.
Yeah.
So, at the lower end of quality that you could expect.
Okay, yeah.
I think it would be fair to say if that was 3 years ago and a 55-inch TV. So the reason why that's quite crucial is that the law also states the more you pay for something, the better quality it should be, the more you can expect from it.
Right.
So if this had been, for example, a £1,200 TV, then it would be very easy to argue categorically the TV should last for, 5, 6, 7, 8, probably about 8 years. And therefore the fact it had only lasted 3 would not be considered reasonable at all. When you're looking at lower end televisions, it starts to get a little more murky. It's a little more difficult to kind of come up with an exact figure. But even so, £629, the TV certainly should have lasted longer than 3 years.
Well, I've had the same make television before several times and never really had a problem.
Okay.
Anyway, they sent it
it went back to them, and I had a call to say that. Sorry, I'm losing my. Went off to them, and they contacted me and said that they would offer me £503.93 in a voucher.
Wow.
Which I wasn't sure about what that was, how they come to that figure. But somebody was going to ring me.
Wow. For a £629 TV that you've had for 3 years.
I think it was because of the damage that I was assuming it was to do with the damage that they'd caused as well. However, they've rung me back. An out-of-warranty team rung me and said that they were actually offering me £209.
Well, hang on a minute. The £503.93, how was that offer made to you in writing?
Over the phone, the customer services.
Right, so they just verbally told that to you?
They did, yeah.
Do you know, have you got, I don't want the name now, but have you got the name of the person that told you?
Not on that one. It was their customer services. I've got the date and everything that I spoke. However, so they said that was wrong and that it was £209. And I said to him, how does that work? Because obviously it was damaged by yourselves as well. And he said, I didn't realise, didn't know anything about the damage. Normally we'd offer you a like-for-like because we've damaged it, but I'll get back to you. 10 days later, I then got another call from somebody in the same out-of-warranty department who again said it was £209. And I said, they were looking into this, the damage. And she said, it's regardless of the damage, the outcome's the same. So I said, right, okay. So I'm not saying I'm not accepting your offer, and I'm not saying I'm accepting it, but what are all my options? I understand that that's what you're offering me. I understand it's 3 years old. But obviously, I wasn't happy that I've sent something off that wasn't damaged other than the fault, and it's now damaged. What can I do? What if I didn't want to accept that figure and try and get the repair done myself? If you can't get the parts, maybe I could get it from a local repairer or something if I knew what the part was. And basically was told that if I didn't accept the offer, then the TV would be returned with the fault, which I accept, but the damage as well.
Right. Well, look,
so I'm sort of in limbo.
Yes.
I've been told 3 times that I should get a like-for-like, which I'm not saying is right or wrong. I just don't know where I stand.
Well, let me tell you. So, in terms of your entitlement, I think actually, if they had come back to you and said, "Look, the simple fact is the TV is not repairable. It's not worth repairing. The value of the TV compared to the amount that it's going to cost is simply not repairable, and that would be the same whether the TV had been damaged or not. However, we would like to make you an offer of £209, which takes into account the use that you've had from the TV before it broke." If they'd said that to you originally, then to be honest with you, I would be saying, do you know what, I think that's probably fair. However, I think there are 2 things that have put you in a stronger position for being able to argue that they should up that offer. The first is because they have damaged the TV, they have said to you, it sounds to me as if on several occasions they've said to you, they should be replacing it for a like-for-like TV.
Yeah, now, 3 times, 3 different people.
Well, that's quite an offer to be giving to someone and then taking away. If you start putting that in people's minds and saying, oh, well, we should really be replacing this TV for you at no cost, then of course that's going to be most unfair if they then suddenly say, oh, yeah, I know we said that 3 times, but we're not going to bother doing it. That's really unfair. Also, the fact that they made an offer to you of £503.93 and then seem to have snatched that offer away as well seems really unfair.
And I can't get through to the same people all the time. I'm getting through to different people each time.
OK, well, I think what that does is it puts us in a strong position to argue that the offer they're now putting of £209 is just really unreasonable when they've made other offers to you of a like-for-like replacement 3 times. Mm-hmm. They've also told you they'd give you £503.93. Why do they keep changing the goalposts? Why are they changing all of this? Can you leave it with us? What I'll do, I'll pass you back to Tara. We'll get some detail and we'll go and have a word with this company and try and get it sorted, OK?
Thanks very much.
Now, Chelsea purchased tickets for her and her 2 daughters to go and see Billie Eilish in concert. They were really looking forward to this, but then coronavirus struck.
The concert was meant to be on the 22nd of July. At first, it was just postponed, but then eventually it was cancelled, and I still haven't seen a refund. And I wouldn't mind so much, only the tickets were kind of expensive. £688.91.
Blimey.
I know. Originally, I'd bought tickets for O2 in London, and they were face value tickets. But it turned out that my daughter wasn't able to go then because she's in the Army Cadets, and they had a camp going on those dates. So by then, all the tickets were sold out, and so I was really putting the feelers out for some resale tickets, but I didn't want to just buy them directly off someone because then there wouldn't be any guarantees or anything. So I went to a third party instead who offered guarantees with it, but they say they're going to refund me, but there's no money.
Yes, well, why not? Why, when they have told Chelsea they're giving her her money back, has the money not been forthcoming? That was exactly what I went to put to them. Chelsea's back on the JVS show now. Hello, Chelsea.
Hi, good morning.
Now, as I explained to you, at least you had paid for the tickets by... now, it was actually Visa or MasterCard debit, wasn't it?
It was a credit card.
Oh, it's a credit card. OK, great.
Yeah.
And therefore, as a result of having paid by credit card, you're covered under the Consumer Credit Act, and you would have been perfectly within your rights to reclaim all of the money. Just so people are aware, with a debit card payment, you probably would still have been able to make the claim, but only within a time frame of 120 days from the date of the concert. The difference between paying on a credit card and a debit card is that the credit card legislation is much better, and it goes on for much longer than the debit card protection. So wherever possible, always pay by credit card. So I said to you, look, if worst comes to worst, you'll be able to claim this back from your credit card company, I'm sure. However, I said, let me go and speak to the company that you booked the tickets through just to find out why they haven't done what they said they'd do. Give you your money back. The company concerned is StubHub. StubHub have come back with this response. They say StubHub is a global marketplace that connects buyers and sellers to attend live events. The effect of the pandemic has affected many industries, with one of the most impacted being the live events and hospitality industry, leading to postponements and or cancellations. These exceptional circumstances and volume of cancellations in a relatively short period of time have disrupted the way we used to operate before the coronavirus, and it has impacted numerous internal procedures, unfortunately leading to some delays in refunds. That being said, StubHub continues to maintain its Fan Protect guarantee and is currently working on reducing refund processing timelines. Nevertheless, some refunds are and may continue to experience some delays, and we greatly appreciate our customers' patience and understanding during this extraordinary time. As for the specific case of Chelsea, we expect that she will receive her refund in the next couple of days, and we apologise for any inconvenience this delay may have caused, and we thank her for her patience. Now, I don't know if you've had a chance to check your credit card today, have you?
I did first thing this morning, and it's very, very easy for me to check, so I will just check again now.
Just check
live
now.
On air.
Live on the radio. We're going live to your credit card statement.
No refund yet.
No refund yet. OK, well, that response came in at the tail end of last week. So I would hope, if the refund has been processed within the next couple of days, I would hope that it will be showing on your account by, well, Wednesday at the latest. Let's allow for Monday and Tuesday. Let's assume they processed the refund at the end of last week. Let's give them Monday and Tuesday and see if it shows up. Now, what I would just like to say for StubHub, and I know that they've been very, very keen on making sure that I've received their statement. They wanted their statement to be read out on the programme, and that's great. Just so StubHub are aware, I'm not going anywhere until Chelsea has received her money back. We will continue to investigate this. I follow cases all the way through until their conclusion. So until Chelsea has got that money showing up on her credit card, I'm not going to close this case. It's great that you've promised a refund, but I hope that is going to happen in the time frame specified. So Chelsea, I guess you're just going to have to keep me in the loop.
Yeah, I will do. I do understand everything they're saying about the live music industry and all the rest of it. I think that perhaps if they'd have communicated better with me and maybe their other customers and given us some kind of a timeline, it was just an open book, which is where the frustration comes from.
Yes.
I mean, even if they'd have told me it'll be 6 months, then I think, right, okay, well, I've got to wait 6 months. But it was just nothing. So... And that, along with the demand of having to return tickets within 4 days, it was, it worried me. And that's why I got in touch. Yeah.
And Chelsea, look, to be honest with you, yes, I completely understand. It's not StubHub's fault that coronavirus came along and has presumably had a decimating impact on their business. It's not your fault either. And you paid your money to them a long time ago. And you've been waiting very patiently for your money back. So, you know, I see it from both sides. Can you please keep me in the loop? I'm not going to give them the horn yet. They will get that as soon as you've got your full refund. Please keep me posted.
Yes, will do. Thank you so much for your help.
Okay.
You and the whole team.
Hello, Jonathan.
Good morning, Linda. Nice to speak to you too, Linda. I gather you have a consumer problem. Tell me all about it without naming any company names, please.
I have. It's about my our jukebox vinyl record player sound system. I'm sitting looking at it and it's all boxed up and I can't listen to Free Counties on it and your programme.
Oh dear. So when did you buy this jukebox with a record player? Sounds very old-fashioned.
Well, it's a modern one. We did have an old one, but we got rid of it and we bought this newer one, which was quite a bit of money. And January 2020, beginning of January 2020, we bought it.
How much was it?
It is 752.49p.
Oh, okay. And so what does it consist of? A radio, obviously.
Yeah, because I used to listen to you.
You used to before it stopped working, yeah.
Well,
okay.
I've got the radio, I've got the telly on in the kitchen, but when I come in the front room, it's very quiet because it's all boxed up.
I'm no longer in your living room. Oh dear. Well, we must change that.
Yes, please.
So it's got the radio. Is that just a normal radio or DAB radio?
Sorry.
You don't know. Okay, it's got radio, it's got record player, what else?
Yeah, and CD. It's a CD player. The CD player that stopped working.
Yeah.
The first one we had to send back because it only lasted a couple of weeks. It wouldn't turn back on. We turned it off and it wouldn't turn back on, so they replaced that. It was only a couple of weeks old, but so we got the second one about the 15th of January 2020.
Yes.
And so...
Well, that's interesting. So what was the original date of purchase?
See, the receipt that I sent to you it's got the 4th of January on it, you see.
Okay, that's when you first bought the first one.
But we bought the first one, yeah.
Okay, because your rights begin then, not the 15th of January. It doesn't.
Right.
Your rights don't renew on the 15th of January. Your rights begin at the point of purchase. But don't worry. I mean, I'm sensing you've still got lots of rights here. So, what is the problem with the system?
It will not read any CDs. It worked when we got it, but now it won't read any CDs.
Okay.
We put it in and it just won't read it. Nothing comes up. It won't, just any of our CDs, it won't read them.
Okay, so what's the company that sold it to you had to say for themselves?
Well, we've been emailing them. My son's been emailing them backwards and forwards since January the 19th. And they said we can have a repair, or they could send out a new CD and we can put it in, which my husband didn't want to do that in case he, buggered it up.
Okay, is that a technical expression, is it? Okay, look, let's just have a little look at what their offer is. Did you say they are prepared to repair it? Well,
where we've got to, because I rang them on Friday, where we've got to is, because it's over 12 months...
that makes no difference.
Yeah, this is what I've been... Well, I did say that a consumer rights, but they're not taking much notice of...
Yeah, but I want to make sure that your understanding of consumer rights are fair and reasonable, because if they've said to you they are prepared to repair the system, then that's perfectly okay.
Yes, at a cost, though.
Oh, no. No, it's not okay. Why would they want to charge you?
They want to. They're wavering the when they assess it for £29. You know, they're wavering that. But what they want to charge us is for a new CD player, £30.
No.
And the collection fee, $39.99. But my issue is it won't be. So that comes to nearly £70. My issue is with it won't be insured if we use their collection.
Well, forget all that. Put that to one side.
Yeah.
Why should you have to pay anything? Have you broken the CD player?
No.
Well, why should you have to pay anything then?
Well, they're saying it's because it's over.
Well, they don't know what they're talking about.
Well. They keep saying about the 6. I said about the consumer because I listened to your. The
Consumer Rights Act of 2015. It's
that's
called.
It, yeah, and they keep saying about the 6 years that you've got but that's if you're going to take them to the small claims court, isn't it?
The Consumer Rights Act of 2015 is the law. It's the legislation. Now, if a company is not prepared to follow the law, then yes, absolutely, you can take them to court. That's what the court system is there for people who break the law. But most companies do not want to be taken to court by a customer because they're breaking the law and refusing to obey the law.
Right.
So, what were they saying to you? Were they suggesting to you that the only way they were prepared to obey the law was if you sued them in the small claims court?
Well, the Act good says must be a reasonable time, and that can be anything up to 6 years from date of purchase.
That's right.
I don't know whether they're referring to the. I haven't mentioned the claims court. I just said the consumer rights that because they mentioned the guarantee was.
Okay, this sounds. There's a lot of words, and not necessarily in the right order. Let me just explain this in a very simple way.
Right, okay.
When you bought your jukebox, the law states that jukebox must last for a reasonable amount of time.
Yeah.
Do you think 13 months is reasonable?
No.
Neither do I.
Not for that amount of money.
End of story. Unless you've broken it, unless you have, I don't know, chucked a glass of sherry in it, or thrown it down the stairs, or dropped something on it, or if it's fallen off a table and smashed on the floor, unless you've broken it, that product has not lasted for a reasonable amount of time.
Well, that's what I thought.
And the law, the Consumer Rights Act of 2015, gives you the right to say to that retailer, you've sold me a product that hasn't lasted for a reasonable amount of time. What are you going to do about it? You can either replace it for me, you can repair it, or you can give me my money back. Okay?
Yeah.
And it's up to them to do one of those three things. If they turn round to you and say, we don't believe that you haven't damaged it, we believe that you've damaged your own CD player, then they could say to you, if they wanted to, you need to get a report carried out to show that the CD player has failed because of a manufacturing failure, rather than customer misuse.
They did say that we could get an electrician to come out to fit it.
No, but never. Look, it sounds to me, Linda, you need someone to actually deal with this for you. Let me see what I can do for you. Tara, can we get some detail? I think I need to just go and have a little word with this company and get this sorted for Linda.
I think you do.
It's ridiculous, so frustrating. Okay, Linda, let me deal with this for you. I'll pass you back to Tara and we'll get some detail and I'll go and speak to them this afternoon. Now, Michael had major heart surgery in February after being admitted to hospital with angina on January the 31st. But when he was released from hospital and he went back to his council property, he opened the front door and was met with a complete nightmare.
After having been released from hospital after major heart surgery, which included a double heart bypass, the hospital transport drove me home. When I opened the front door, I was greeted by a wave of water, and there was water still pouring down from the loft into the living room, ruining everything in there, including my computer and lots of electrical stuff I had in there, etc., etc. I went to my next door neighbour because my battery was dead. I hadn't been able to charge it while in hospital, and they phoned up the council for me, emergencies only, but they couldn't get through to anybody on that number. So I had nowhere to go, nowhere to live. So the hospital driver said, right, I'll take you back to the hospital.
Well, Michael says the leak was caused by a pipe that had burst. He said the pipes were not properly insulated. He is at the moment living in a hotel, but he really wants to get back home. But he came to me because he said, I just feel as if very little is happening at my property. I feel as if it's not being fixed, and I want to go home. I don't want to have to spend the rest of my life living in a hotel. Perfectly reasonable concern. So I promised Michael I would get onto the council and find out what the status was and what's happening with his house. Michael's back on the JVS show now. Hello, Michael.
Hello, Jonathan.
Hello, Michael. Right, so I have spoken to the council on your behalf. They are Central Bedfordshire Council.
Yep.
And they've come back with this response. A council spokesperson has said, we are working closely with the tenant to help him return to his property as soon as it's safe to do so, following a leak in his property. The leak meant that the electrics in his home were not safe to use. So this caused some delay, as we couldn't carry out work until they were dry. The electrics have now been turned back on, and the only outstanding work is to replace a damaged ceiling in the property. Drying out a property in cold weather takes time, but we are working as fast as we can to carry out the repairs safely. As the tenant recently left hospital, we paid for hotel accommodation for him so he has somewhere warm and safe to stay with his dog while the repair work is carried out. We are in contact with the tenant and have provided him with the contact details of the council officers in case he has any outstanding concerns that we can help him with. So they are keen to point out that as far as they're concerned, they are working on your property to try and get you back in there. Have you heard anything since you appeared on my programme?
Yes, I have, because pressure has been brought to bear from several people, my MP, the Hot Cliff Society, where the hotel is. Several people have been onto the council. Am I allowed to be truthful about the council?
It depends what you're going to say. They're not here to defend themselves. So what I can't allow you to do is to make allegations that I can't then stand up.
Right. Well, they have made allegations about me.
Well, not in my statement. They haven't.
Well, they have said that that they have put me in touch with all the relevant people. They have not. They have promised 3 times to put me in touch with a chap responsible for the building works. They failed to do so. They promised they'd put me in touch with the social services. They failed to do so. I am now back in my bungalow.
Okay.
It is covered in mould. All my things are still soaking wet. the flood has gone, obviously.
Right.
I am making more impact on the wet now with about 300 watts of fan heaters as opposed to humidifiers. They just don't work, you know. There's mould growing everywhere. I shouldn't be breathing in mould, having just had a heart operation.
Okay.
I have no hot water. They've disconnected my immersion heater. The meter, because I have a pay key meter, the meter has disappeared, so it's no longer a key meter. I don't know how I'm getting my electricity now. Everything is still tripping out. Things are still tripping out when I try and put power on and what have you. The ceiling has been patched up. It hasn't been plastered or anything, but that's okay. That's no big problem. That can be done while I'm here. They haven't repaired the last water leak. The ceiling in the outhouse is still open to elements. There are rats in here because there weren't before I left. There were when I came back. Before I came back, which they say they've cleared now. I've had a leak before, and other people have had leaks before, burst pipes in the ceilings, etc., and it's been done within a couple of days. Mm-hmm. The council have been dealing with this for 3 weeks, and they didn't even put a humidifier in until a couple of days ago.
Okay, let's stop there, because what we want to do is to try and get this matter resolved in the most straightforward way possible. I'm sure that's what you want. And I'm sure it's what the council want as well. So, Jonathan,
what I want now, apart from having a reasonable place to live in, it is compensation for all the damages done to my property, and I'm going to sue them.
Okay. Well, that's up to you. I won't be assisting you with compensation claims.
No, I know that.
So you can sue them all you like. Regarding your property, what I want to know is whether the council are doing all they can to try and get things sorted out. Whose decision was it for you to move back in?
Well, both mine and the council.
Right. So did the council say to you, Michael, your property is now perfectly safe for you to move back into?
Yes, and I've got that in writing.
Okay. But it sounds as if it's not. From what you're telling me today, it sounds as if it is not safe for you to live in, because it sounds as if it's still damp, full of mould, has rats living there. You've got electricity that's still not safe.
Well, it's tripping out. I wouldn't say it's not safe, but it's tripping out all the time.
Right. Okay. Well, that doesn't sound very suitable. So what have the council said when you've explained to them that, as far as you're concerned, you're now back in your bungalow, but it's still not safe for you to be living there?
Well, I have yet to talk to them. Like I say, I have fan heaters on now.
Well, hang on a second. Have they given you the number of the council officers that are dealing with it?
There's the estates manager.
Okay, so have you phoned the estates manager to raise the problems with no hot water, the damp that's still there, the mould all over the place, the rats?
No, I'm going to do that today. Oh. I've had lots to do since I got back yesterday.
Well, how are they supposed to know you've got those problems if you haven't told them?
Because that's the way they left it, with those problems.
Well, they may not have realised that those problems existed.
Before they can tell me and put it in writing that it's safe to come back in, they should have inspected the property. Had they inspected the property, they would have known damn well it wasn't safe to come back into.
When did you move back into the property?
Yesterday.
Right. Okay. So it was only when you came back in yesterday that you found that there were these problems?
Yes. Yeah.
Fine. But you haven't yet told them?
No, because they're not there until 10 o'clock, and I've been waiting for your call, to be quite honest, so I won't be interrupted.
Okay. Well, what I would like you to do, after this conversation, I would like you to call your contacts at Central Bedfordshire Council, explain the problems with the property, and I would expect the council, based on if what you're saying is correct, and I don't have any reason to disbelieve you, I would expect that they will get somebody round to look at your property today, because this is simply unacceptable for anyone to be living in these circumstances. But all I would say to you is, I think what is the most useful thing to do is to try and get this situation resolved so that you can be comfortable and enjoy your life in your house. I think talk of suing the council for compensation at this stage, I don't think it's necessarily going to help anyone.
It's going to help me because everything that I possess has been destroyed.
Well, it's to be honest, it's going to help you end up back in hospital with heart trouble again, because this is just going to be so stressful for you. And at the moment, you've just had it was a heart bypass operation you had.
Their incompetence is already making me stressed.
Okay, well, look, the last thing you want to do is for this stress to make you unwell. It sounds to me from what you're saying as if this property is still not really at a stage where you should be living in there. It sounds to me as if you should have still been in the hotel for a bit longer until they can at least make sure that all of the damp problem has gone. And I completely accept from their perspective that it is more difficult to dry a property out when the temperature is, 1 or 2 degrees than it is when it's 30 degrees.
Not with heaters, it's not. Not with heaters, it's not. Heaters dry. If it's colder outside, it's a difference between the temperature inside and outside. If it's colder outside than it is inside, it will dry quicker.
So have they how many dehumidifiers have they left in the property?
None now. There was one when I came to check on it. There was one dehumidifier.
And what happened to
that?
that?
Only put a few days before I come back.
What happened to the dehumidifier?
It's been taken away.
The council took that away?
Well, someone took it away. I didn't take it away.
Well, that was a bit of a stupid thing, wasn't it, for whoever took that away? What about heaters? How many heaters have been left in the property to try and dry it out?
None, apart from the ones I put in, which is only about 300 watts worth, which is not enough. It's having more effect than the humidifiers did.
Okay.
But it's only 300 watts, and it's costing me a fortune in electricity.
Okay. Right. Well, the first thing I need to do when I come off air is I need to get back onto Central Bedfordshire Council, and I need to put to them, I'm sure they will be monitoring what's being said on this programme this morning anyway, so I'm sure they will be made aware of this by the time I speak to them this afternoon. But to be fair to them, I feel that you need to speak to the housing officer ASAP to make them aware so they can get someone round. But I want to know why they took the dehumidifier away before the damp has gone, and why they haven't got heaters in there to try and dry the house out. I mean, surely that is just basic stuff.
Well, I know why. I know why. They're incompetent and they don't care.
Okay, but I don't think that attitude is going to help you, Michael.
Well, that's the truth. It's not an attitude. It's the truth.
Okay. Well,
it's been since I had my heart attack. It is now over 4 weeks, a month, and since the council was notified, it's 3 weeks.
Yeah.
And they did nothing at all. Nothing at all.
Michael,
2 weeks.
Michael, calm down, because seriously, you're going to make yourself unwell again. Let me contact the council. Let me find out what's going on. If you can call them now, that would be great, so they have the opportunity to get someone round there ASAP. Until your property is back to normal and until it is properly dried out, safe and habitable for you to live in, then I'm not going anywhere. I presume you have contents insurance for your home?
No, I don't. I can't afford contents insurance.
Right. You don't have any contents insurance at all?
No. It's responsibility, as far as I'm concerned, it's the responsibility of the landlord to make sure my place is safe to live in. And it wasn't because of faulty pipes for the second time.
Okay. It's going to be a problem if you haven't got contents insurance. Do the council not offer you subsidised contents insurance as a council tenant?
No.
Well, that's very unusual, because normally councils will offer reduced rate contents insurance for tenants. But you're not aware of that.
I've never been offered anything by the council to my benefit. Can I add one more point as well? In my house, I have a sauna which draws 2,000 watts of power from a 13 amp socket, which is quite acceptable.
Who put a sauna in your house? Me.
I did. But a sauna, as you may or may not know, an infrared sauna, by the way, not a steam sauna, an infrared one, athletes use them, or what have you, sportsmen use them, because it heals wounds, etc., both deep and surface, 30% quicker than they'd heal by themselves. That's how footballers recover so quickly, because they go for sauna treatment. Well, I have that. I've been unable to use it, and in a letter I received from the council, they have told me I've got to remove the sauna because it's a fire hazard. They don't know what they're talking about.
But Michael, can I just ask you a question?
Yep.
You just said you haven't got contents insurance because you can't afford it, and you can afford to have a sauna installed in your council house.
It's a question of priorities. It's a question of priorities, and I think health is a high priority as far as I'm concerned.
I would suggest the contents of your home are more of a priority than a sauna.
Well, I'm afraid I'd beg to differ there. I think health is more important than the contents of your home. Health is more important than than material things.
Okay. Michael, can you please call the housing officer?
Yeah, I will.
I will call.
I'm never going to let this go.
I know that. I can tell.
I am not a meek and mild person, right? I try not to be rude. I get accused sometimes of attitude because when you're given blank statements to shut you up, well, it won't shut me up. You know, God knows, if I was a meek and mild person, somebody at my age, I'm 80 today, by the way. A lot of people at 80...
Happy birthday.
Thank you, Jonathan. A happy one it isn't. Well, it is. I've got my dog with me, so it's happy.
Yes, but Michael, do you know, there's an old expression, I'm sure you've heard it. You catch more flies with honey than you do with vinegar. And there are sometimes, if you want to achieve something, it's all about the way you go about it.
I don't like flies. They should be exterminated. Joke. It's a joke.
Okay, I'll tell you what. You call the council. I'll call them this afternoon. This conversation has been absolutely fascinating, and we'll see what we do. Thank you very much indeed. In April 2018, Stephen spent just under £2,000 on 3 pieces of Italian leather furniture.
We got a footstool, a 3-seater, and a power chair. That's the one I sit in, and that's one we've been having trouble with. After about 15 months, the colour sort of started fading out of it. The cushion collapsed. So I went into the shop. I had to pay a £75 for their service guy to come out, which he did, and he came back and replaced the foam in the chair. This was back in August 2019. I had a small refund because of the colour faded out of it, which he said was due to my tablets, which I take tablets and that for diabetes and stuff and that. I got £100 back for that. They did say we could have got the money back for the whole suite, but I'm happy enough with the seat.
Can I ask a rather rude question, Stephen?
Yeah.
How much do you weigh?
I weigh 14.5 stone. And I double-checked that as small as I thought you might ask me.
Well, he was told that if he wanted the seat to be sorted out now, he's going to have to pay another £75 just for the company to come and have a look at it, let alone how much they'll then charge him to repair it. Stephen just feels as if this chair is not a very good quality. It doesn't seem to be lasting for a reasonable amount of time. Well, he's back on the JVS show now. Hello, Stephen.
Good morning.
Hello, by the way, we do love your giggle. You've got a lovely you've got a lovely giggle, haven't you?
Oh, right.
So the company concerned, as you know, when I went off to have a word with them, they said the customer contacted us in November 2019 regarding the chair interior, and as the original 12-month warranty had expired, the customer paid a call-out fee as per our terms and conditions for an inspection or report. The report concluded that there was a fault with the interior of the chair. This was replaced in March of 2020, and the call-out fee was refunded. Well, at that point, you said, no, it wasn't. They didn't refund me that fee. They then went on to say, according to our records, we have had no further contact. I will arrange for a contact to be made to inspect the furniture further. As the replacement interior is within the 12-month warranty, this will now be carried out free of charge. So that's all great. Right. The latter part of it, they were going to come out and inspect the chair free of charge. But you did say to me, well, hang on a minute, they didn't ever give me the money back previously, so I went back to the company. And in fact, it's spooky that you and I are catching up today, because they came back to me this morning and said, Jonathan, apologies for the delay. However, Stephen has been kept in the loop regarding our investigations. There appears to have been an error on our system. Stephen has accepted our apologies and has confirmed that we will process the necessary refund. We've also confirmed parts are on order following the inspection and report we have now carried out. So they've been out to your property, have they, Stephen?
Yes, they did. Yeah, they came out. The chap came out on the 2nd of March. Same. It was identical bloke had been out before, time before.
Right.
So he looked at the chair, took pictures of it, and because he sent his report back to head office, and he said yes, the foam had definitely wasn't up to standard, and they've got back to me. They got back to me on the 4th, and they said, well, I'll be getting an email, and they sort of sent me an email. We apologise for the concern you have experienced with your furniture and confirm that we have placed the necessary parts on order with our supplier. Your parts should arrive within a period of approximately 3 to 4 weeks.
Okay.
However, as soon as the parts become available in our warehouse, we will contact you to book an appointment with our upholsterer, thus saving you trouble of having to contact us. May we thank you in advance for your patience in this matter.
Yeah. Okay, well, that all sounds good. Are you feeling happier?
Yeah. Well, yeah, it'd be nice if I went, all right, sort of wish 3 or 4 weeks' time that they've come out and sorted the chair out. Would that be smashing? That will be.
Yes. I mean, the only thing is, I know you said to me you spend quite a lot of time sitting in this chair.
Yeah, oh yeah, yeah.
I mean, I guess it will give you an opportunity to sit in some other bits of the furniture, because you want it to wear evenly, don't you?
Yes, I do, yeah.
I mean, I guess while you're waiting, sit in some of the other chairs.
Yeah, that's right.
There you go again. You're making me laugh. Even though that one chair, that's your favourite, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Yeah,
that's your chair. That's Stephen's chair.
Yeah, that is my chair.
That is no one else dares sit in Stephen's chair.
No, that's right.
Right, so look, did they give you any idea as to when they're going to be refunding you for the original inspection?
They said they would be getting in touch with me about that, and I'm still,
Right.
So,
well, hopefully that will happen soon.
Yeah.
I'm going to stay across this until it's sorted out. Sue's granddaughter has a laptop which has proved to be absolutely vital for her lectures during lockdown. It cost her £2,160 and she bought it in March of 2018. But she's got a big problem with it. It's packed up.
She was using it and the screen just went blank. So she thought, right, I'm going to get in touch with the manufacturer and they may be able to talk me through a couple of things. They were unable to help her and they said that it sounds like it's the motherboard. She was then told by the manufacturer that that she should phone the retailer. And they came up with, well, it's out of warranty, 2 years warranty on that one. So she didn't quite know what to do, panicking because, I mean, she's at university, well, working remotely anyway, trying to get assignments done and lectures and stuff like that. So she took it into the manufacturer's service provider for a bit of a quote, find out whether they could fix it. £1,262.73.
And unfortunately, the retailer that the laptop was purchased from in the first place said that they weren't prepared to do anything because, wait for it, it's over 12 months old, it's out of its warranty, and therefore they're not liable for anything. Well, as we all know, that's not true. As we all know, when you purchase any product, whether it be a washing machine, a laptop, a car, you name it, it must be fit for purpose, of reasonable quality, and must last for a reasonable amount of time. And unless Sue's granddaughter has damaged the laptop, and let's be honest, that can happen with laptops in particular. Sometimes people spill stuff on them or drop them, and that can damage them. Of course, it would not be at all reasonable if you've damaged your own laptop to try and hold the retailer accountable for it. But if you've used the laptop in a perfectly reasonable way and it's failed because a manufacturing component hasn't been up to the job, well, that's not your fault, and the law gives you some protection. Sue's back on the JVS show now. Hello, Sue.
Hello, Jonathan. Lovely to speak to you again.
Lovely to speak to you too. And this is rather interesting. Tara and I have been discussing this case in the office because I know the original response from the retailer, it wasn't slamming the door shut, was it, Tara? It was just saying that the report that Sue's granddaughter had done previously was not conclusive enough for them to be able to agree to covering any cost of repair necessary on the laptop.
No, they were looking for something that really gave exact evidence to the root cause of the fault.
Yeah.
And although Sue's granddaughter had been and got the initial report, it didn't actually do that. And they said that they would be happy to review the matter further should that happen. They'd also offered, they appreciated the frustration of the whole situation. They offered to cover half of the cost of the issue as a gesture of goodwill. But they did say, as we've just said, they would look at it further if there was a report that was done. Now, so Sue's granddaughter went off and got that sorted out. And then Sue sent me a copy of the report.
And I hear this report, this time, is very conclusive.
It certainly is. I'm really happy.
Have you got the necessary bit in front of you, Tara? Because the bit that they said regarding the damage to the laptop or the problem with it now, I mean, it left no stone unturned.
Absolutely. Well, it started off by looking at the device's condition, and they showed that there was no evidence of any physical damage to either the enclosure of the device or any external evidence of water or liquid contact or anything like that.
Great.
But it also said issue is related to a general component failure which may have existed at the time of purchase and have been verified as not related to customer accidental damage or use. So as soon as Sue sent that over to us, I sent it over to the retailer.
Brilliant. Now, I gather the retailer have had a complete change of heart. What's the latest, Sue?
Oh, I'm so happy about this, thanks to your team. They came back to me on Monday and they said, after further consideration, we would be happy to reimburse the repair costs as quoted by the manufacturer upon completion of the repair. And furthermore, they referenced a charge associated with covering the data transfer from the laptop, which Beth had to pay for, and they said that they were going to reimburse that as well. So we are extremely happy with that.
Right, well, I'm not surprised. So the crucial question, when is it going to be fixed? When is it going to be? When is your granddaughter going to be in a situation where she's got her laptop back working?
Well, she rang the manufacturer the other day and said, can you please go ahead with the work? And they said that they reckon it's going to be about a week.
Oh, okay. Well, that's not too bad. Great.
Yes. Well, I was happy with that anyway.
Yeah, that's super. And in some ways, your granddaughter's lucky that at least her laptop is in the system, because I've got other laptop cases at the moment where, because the shops are shut, trying to get the laptops back to shops for them to then repair it is not necessarily very easy. So at least your granddaughter's laptop is there with them to be fixed. Well, I think this is great. I mean, what we will do, listen to this. Half of the horn. They'll get the rest as soon as everything's absolutely sorted. But I'm delighted that they have agreed to cover the full cost of it. And I think based on the report that your granddaughter managed to get, I mean, there was no alternative really for them.
And that data recovery,
there was no doubt that it was a component failure.
Quite.
So that is brilliant. But without your recommendation and your help from your team, I don't think we would have got anything from them.
And Sue, that data recovery cost, that's about £150, isn't it? Do you have any idea?
£150, yes.
Yeah, do you have any idea when that might come forward?
The retailer said that he's going to get his finance team to get in touch with Beth, and they're going to organise how they're going to pay it over. So I should think that's going to be within the next week.
Okay. Well, look, let's keep in touch, and fingers crossed within the next week or so, you're back on the programme with great news. Your granddaughter has got her laptop back, it's all sorted, bill paid, job done.
Cross our fingers.
Absolutely. Thank you very much indeed. Good to talk to you soon.
Hello, good afternoon, Jonathan.
Good afternoon, David. I gather you have a consumer problem. Tell me all about it without naming any company names, please.
Right. What it is, I'm speaking, as you probably know, on behalf of my daughter and her partner. Mm-hmm. They purchased 2 three-seater manual reclining settees, and they ordered the furniture in. They ordered the. Sorry, I'll start again. Beg your pardon. Right, they went to order the furniture on the 21st of January 2017.
Yeah.
And the furniture was delivered in June 2017.
Yeah. Okay. Do you know how much it was, David?
Yes, the settee cost 1,000. No, there was 2 settees, £1,198.
What, for both settees?
Yes, for both settees.
For 2 recliner settees?
Yes.
Okay. Fabric or leather?
It's fabric. It's fabric with a little bit of leather, like cloth with leather on it.
Okay. Right. I mean, just so you and everyone else is aware, you're not going to get very good furniture for £1,198 for 2 settees.
Right.
Just so you're aware, because sometimes I think. But I don't know about you, David, but back in the day, do you remember when furniture would last for 20 years?
Yes, yep.
You'd buy your 3-piece, and 20 years later, it's still going strong. And you'd end up getting rid of it, not because it was falling apart, but because it was no longer fashionable. It was just a bit old-fashioned. Those days are gone. And if you're spending around £1,000 on 2 sofas, you're going to get something that probably, if you were to look at how the sofas are made, you'd be pretty appalled at the structure of them. They're probably held together with pallet wood and foam and staples, just so you're aware.
Right.
So these 2 sofas that were delivered in June of 17.
Yes.
What's going on with them?
Right. What's going on? They're splits. There's splits on them, and there's a spring poking through as well.
Okay. So they lasted for 3.5 years.
Yes.
And whereabouts have they split?
They're split on where you sit down onto the left. It's not on the corner bit. It's not where you would actually sit on it. It's split on there.
But is it on the cushion where your bottom would go?
It wouldn't be your bottom. It would be your leg, if you know what I mean. The top of as you sit down. It's not. It's more at the front.
Okay, so it's split on 2 of the, and I presume they're the 2 seats where your daughter and her partner they sit most of the time.
Yeah, well, one sits on one side, and one sits on one settee, and one sits on the other.
Right, his and her settees. How posh.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And where's the spring poking up?
The spring has appeared in bits of the fabric parts of it by the same side.
And is it actually coming out through the surface?
No, it's not actually coming out, but you can feel it on there.
Right. Okay. I presume they've complained to the retailer where they bought it from.
Yes, they have. Yes, so they've been and complained. What happened with this company? You phone up and they complain, and they said, "Well, we're sorry, it is out of warranty. If you would like an engineer to come to visit you and have a look at it, we can arrange a visit, but they will charge you £75."
Mm-hmm.
So they booked for the engineer to come and have a look at it. He came and visited him on the 22nd of February 2021.
Mm-hmm.
The engineer attended and said the settees have been kept in good condition, and the defects were manufacturing defaults.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds as if it's the reason for the problem is the furniture's a load of rubbish.
Correct.
I remember once, and look, to be honest with you, most of us have got furniture that probably is quite rubbish. The sofa I've got at the moment is better than I've had previously, because I made sure that the sofa that I was buying this time is a hardwood, built in Britain bit of furniture. But previously, I remember buying a sofa, and I think it was a corner sofa. It cost about £1,300, I think, David. And I had a problem with this sofa, and the guy came out to have a look at it, and he lifted it up on its side, and took the underside of the sofa off in order to access the inner part of the sofa.
Yeah.
I have never seen such a load of old rubbish in my entire life. It literally, I'm not joking, the sofa was put together out of manky old pallet wood and cheap foam, the kind of foam that you see on a market stall, stapled down with this lovely looking leather topping to it. I mean, it all looked very nice from the top. When you saw how it had been put together, it's the biggest load of old rubbish you've ever seen.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, so much of the furniture for sale now is made like that. And, you know, it's just be very aware, ladies and gentlemen. If you're looking for furniture that's going to last you a long time, you're going to have to spend quite a lot of money on it nowadays. Always ask about how the furniture is made, where it's made, what kind of wood it's made, on the structure of it, those kinds of things. Otherwise, you are going to end up with something that probably in the showroom looks gorgeous, but is held... I mean, some of the sofas... I could get on my high horse about this now, David. Some of the sofas in these shops, do you know what they make the arms out of?
Go on, tell us. Go on, what?
It's a hard cardboard.
Cardboard?
Yeah, the curvature on the top of the arm, you know, that gives that lovely sofa curve, on a lot of these bits of furniture, it's made out of cardboard. So, of course, after you've had your arm resting on it for a year or so, the weight of your arm, and you've used the arm to get up from the sofa, and you've put the weight of your body on, all the arms will start collapsing down the side of them because it's made out of a kind of hardened cardboard. It's an absolute load of rubbish, most of this furniture. So be very aware of what you're buying, ladies and gentlemen. So what has the company done about it? I mean, they're calling it defects.
Yeah, they're calling it defects. So what my son-in-law did, he phoned back. He phoned them up and discussed it after they said, and they said that they would offer him £480, right, for £480 voucher. Right, obviously to spend in the same store again. Well, he's turned around and said, you've offered me £480, but I've given you £75 for an engineer's report, so you're only offering me £405. Now, if you look at that for what he's had that use of that settees, each settee costs £600 each. So basically, they're not offering you a lot of money back, are they? Surely even a settee like that should last for 8 years, no?
No.
Now, what would you put the lifespan on that then?
I would say 8 is the maximum you're going to get.
Yeah.
I remember once I spoke to a woman who was in one of these furniture shops, and she was, to be fair to her, she was very honest when I asked the question. I said, how long should this furniture last? She said, our furniture is generally designed to last for about 5 years, 5 to 8 years. 8 would be good.
Yeah.
And she said most people, you know, they get bored of their sofa, or it no longer goes with their decor, or it starts to look a bit old-fashioned. So most people want to change it every 5 years. I mean, It depends on what you're like, really. I mean, I personally would rather, and I think it depends as well at what stage in your life you're at. But for me now, I would rather buy something good quality that's kind of timeless or classic, that's going to last for ages, rather than have to keep replacing sofas every few years. But no, I mean, I would say 8 years would be great. I mean, just to work out, so the total amount, £1,198.
Yes.
If we were to divide that by 5 years, you're looking at an annual cost of £239.60.
Yeah.
Now, if we do 239.60 times that by 3.5 years, so that's about £838.60's worth of life out of it.
Yeah.
So if we then take the 1,198 less the 836.60, that gives a total of £361.40 worth of life out of the sofa that your daughter and her partner could legitimately argue they haven't yet had, which then makes their offer seem acceptable.
Right. So that's on a 5. So you're working that out on a 5 years.
On the minimum that I would consider that furniture should have lasted for.
Yeah.
Which is 5 years.
So you're saying that offer is a fair offer?
Well, I think, to be honest with you, I think it's a fair starting offer. I think you're certainly in a position where you don't have to accept that offer, and I think I would try and bump it up a bit.
Yeah.
When you made the argument that, you know, reasonably expected the furniture to last for 8 years. What was the response that came back?
Well, he hasn't gone. He hasn't actually gone to the chap. He hasn't gone back to them and argued about the 8 years, because when they offered him the money, what they said acceptable, he said he was going to take some advice over this.
Okay.
And what happened with the furniture originally, believe it or not, which is his own silly fault, he actually the actual split on it was in August, and he thought, well, I wouldn't have a chance under warranty. And the only reason why he's suddenly done is this, because he's heard of you on the programme. This is what made him do it.
Okay.
So you must get. So you got a feather in your cap for that. So that's the reason why he's come to, because he heard about you.
Okay. Look. So here's what I would do if I were in your position. So, if you go back to the retailer and say, look, I've taken some advice on this, and I really do not feel that 5 years is a reasonable amount of time for this furniture to have, 3.5 years, definitely not reasonable. Yeah. But I don't feel the amount that you're working out the settlement on, I don't feel that's reasonable either. When I bought this furniture, okay, I didn't necessarily expect it to last for 20 years, but I did expect it to last for 8 years.
Yeah.
And if I work out the £1,198 over an 8-year period, and then I work out that I've had it for 3.5 years before it started falling apart, then I work out that I've had about £524.12 worth of life out of the furniture, which means I feel an offer of £673.88 would be more reasonable.
Radio, okay, fine.
So I think I would go back with that counter offer and see if you can get them to up what they're prepared to pay. But I think what I would also be inclined to do is to ask for that payment to be made in cash rather than vouchers.
Can I get them to do that, or can they get away and just give me vouchers? Because I don't really want to buy any more furniture from them.
No, I think I would say, look, I'm not satisfied. We can either resolve this in an amicable way, and I'm happy to walk away. If we don't sort it out in an amicable way, I'm afraid you're going to leave me with no alternative but to begin small claims court action, and we'll have to allow the courts to decide what is a reasonable amount. Now, I'm sure you don't want that, and I don't want that. I don't want to buy any more furniture from you, to be honest, but I want you to give me a fair, reasonable settlement. So I would be prepared, on the basis that you refund me £673.88, I'll be prepared to walk away, and I'll consider the £75 I've had to pay for your engineer to come out and tell me that I've bought rubbish furniture with a defect. I'll consider that part of the £673.88 settlement.
Fine, okay. So they'll only really give you £600 because I've had to pay the £75 for the people to come out.
Yeah.
Okay,
I think if they come back with an offer of £673.88 in cash. So you did say it was your daughter and her partner, yeah?
Yes, correct. Yep.
Okay. So that then gives them an amount of money that they can go and buy different furniture from a different shop that's better quality.
Yeah. Well, that's what I shall tell them. I shall say your advice and advise them, because when I buy, I normally spend a bit more than that, but because when you're a bit younger, you don't, do you? So
well, no, and to be honest with you, everyone's got different budgets. And the reason I'm pointing this out is that the furniture always looks so lovely in the shop. You know, there's all these furniture shops and you go in and they've got all these lovely displays with all these lovely looking sofas, and people walk around, they sit and, oh, this is comfy, this is nice, oh, this would look lovely in our living room. That's fine. Just be aware it's probably a load of junk.
Yeah, because the thing is, although you paid $600, they've even got price, some settees in there for half of that. So goodness knows how long they would last.
Yes, well, and you know that it all depends what you want. If you're not going to be using the furniture very much, then it may well be that kind of furniture and that kind of price point is absolutely fine. If, however, every evening you love to sit on your sofa and watch TV for a few hours, and you want furniture that in 10 years' time is still going to be comfortable and still going to be lovely, I'm afraid you're going to have to spend considerably more than £1,100 on 2 sofas.
Fine.
It's just a fact.
$1,200, Jonathan, $1,200.
Oh, all right. Well, you know, I mean, I'm afraid it is going to be a lot more. And I think we all have to look at our budgets. We have to look at where we want the furniture to go, what it's going to be used for, and then we have to make a decision. But certainly if you want furniture that's going to last you a long time, you're looking at, minimum £5,000 or £6,000 plus.
Fine.
If you want the good old-fashioned quality stuff that's going to be around for a long time. But of course, some people don't want to spend that because they're thinking, well, hang on a minute, in a few years' time, this is probably going to look all old-fashioned anyway, and I will have gone off the colour. So I'd rather have something that just lasts me for 5 or 8 years, and then I can change it. So there we go. Room for thought. Okay, will you please let me know how you get on?
Yes, listen, thank you very much for your help.
Pleasure.
And I look forward to speaking with you again, see if I can get some good news.
Okay, good luck.
Okay, thank you. Bye-bye.
Hi there.
Hello, Susan. You have a consumer problem. Tell me all about it without naming any company names, please.
Okay, the end of November, a delivery man came down our private road, not to deliver to us, somewhere else, and realised he couldn't get out on the bottom because it's very, very narrow. So he decided to turn around on my lawn, which he got stuck on because November it rains. And his 3-ton truck basically was stuck. And 4 hours later it was taken off by a rescue team. And they actually had to reverse it out for him because he was incapable of doing that. He thought he might damage the vehicle. So that's the beginning.
Hang on a second, just talk me through what happens then. So he's tried to turn his vehicle round. He's got it stuck on your lawn. Yes. What happened? Did you come out and say, what on earth do you think you're doing?
I sort of saw him stuck there, so went out. My neighbour came with his truck and tried to pull it off, which it snapped his 3-ton load wire that he had. It actually snapped that, so it must have been well over 3 tons, the lorry that came onto the lawn. And for 4 hours it sat there, and this guy was trying to get it, forwards and backwards, and basically he just went further and further, deeper and deeper into the lawn, and just caused such a huge amount of damage that my gardener said it would cost about £120 to get it fixed.
I presume you were pretty furious.
I was not at all happy. He was unable to communicate very well in English. But, yeah, I wasn't very happy. But I did talk to his supervisor, who apologised.
I was going to say, surely the thing to do at that point is to pick up the phone to the company that employs him and say, I seem to have one of your drivers lodged in my lawn.
Yeah, well, that did happen.
And what did they say?
A team came out to try and push him off, but didn't get anywhere. They unloaded the truck into another van, and 4 hours later it was taken off by a rescue team.
I mean, I guess the one thing you can say is whatever bad day you thought you were having, he was having a worse day, wasn't it? Can you imagine? How embarrassing.
Oh, yeah, I felt quite sorry for him, but he was obviously, the fact that he couldn't actually reverse out of the private road afterwards, it just proves that he should not have been driving that vehicle in the first place. And that's a bit sad.
Well, I mean, one would hope that he had the necessary licence, and one would hope that the company that was employing him had carried out all the necessary checks to make sure that he was suitable to drive that vehicle. But I mean,
it doesn't seem like he was.
But to be fair, I mean, I guess sometimes people, even the best of drivers, can sometimes make mistakes and get themselves stuck, can't they?
Yeah, he should have rang on the doorbell, though, I think.
What rather than trying to get the vehicle out?
Yeah, apart from the fact there's a double drive there, which we could easily have moved vehicles for him to turn round on. There was plenty of room there that he could have, but he didn't.
Right.
And he got stuck.
Okay, so they got him out eventually.
Yes.
And what did your lawn look like after he'd gone?
I know you have pictures, and I know nobody
hang on. Yes, I've been told I've been sent photo. Hang on, let me have a little look at these photos. Let's have a little look.
But it's very deep. I mean, because he kept on trying to get out for close on 4 hours, so he just literally got further and further and further into the lawn.
Oh, dear. And your gardener said that was going to cost... I mean... There's no doubt about it. It's certainly got deep tyre marks. For it to why would it cost £150 to make that right?
Okay, it was £120 that I was quoted from the gardener to put new sods down and to actually fill the holes, because now you've impacted the ground, so he needed new soil and new sods to go on top. That's what I was advised, and I had 2 gardeners give me quotes as well. It wasn't just one. The £30 extra was the breakage of the strap that we used to try and get him off in the first place. It was a brand new strap that my neighbour gave, and it snapped.
Right. So you've said to the company, the whatever company it was that employed him, I want this money back so that I can get my lawn repaired and get my neighbour a new strap. What have they said?
It's fine. I mean, I had 3 different emails. I spoke to 3 different people through emails and finally got to the legal team. And he said, yeah, that's fine. Sorry for the inconvenience. Everybody was very apologetic. And that was very nice that everybody was apologetic. But when the legal team said, send me your bank details, I did. And I have heard nothing since. And that was, I think, on the 8th of January.
Oh, how annoying. And have you chased it up to find out where the money is?
Yeah, well, I sent 5 emails and had replies to 3 of them. And since then I've sent 2, so 5. So 7 altogether, I think it is. And the last time I said I'm going to have to seek legal advice.
And that's why you're speaking to me now. Well, it sounds to me as if you don't really need legal advice. You just need someone to actually go and have a word with them and say, can you please pay what you said you'd pay?
Yeah, well, I just thought that might be sort of, a little bit more incentive for them to pay up. That's why.
Yes. Do you mind me tweeting a couple of photos of your lawn just so people who are listening to this can see what he's done? I mean, it does. I have to be honest. It does. It looks bad. There's no doubt about it. But from the original description, I thought that you were going to. I thought it was going to be much worse than this. I mean, I would have thought that just putting a whole load of mud on there and a bit of topsoil, a bit of grass seed at this time, it would have all grown back by May.
Maybe you don't have a gardener. Gardening is quite expensive.
No, I don't have a gardener. I would.
Well, I asked 2 gardeners. I didn't want to take it just from one gardener. I asked 2 gardeners, and one said £120 and one said £125. So I took the lower of the 2, and they were willing to pay this money. That's the thing. He's, the person that I spoke to in the legal department seemed very willing and very apologetic. It's just that they haven't followed up on it and paid it. That's more annoying than anything else.
Yes. OK. Well, I can certainly go and have a little word and see if I can ask them to please do what they said they were going to do. Mm-hmm. And I will tweet the photos of your lawn very shortly for anyone that's interested in having a little look. If you go to the official JVS on Twitter, you can have a little look. Can you hang on there? What I'm going to do, Tara, can we just get some detail, please? Can we go and have a word with this company and say to them, look, you said you were going to reimburse the money. Can you please do what you agreed to? Because it's not fair.
No, absolutely. Yeah, we'll do that.
Right, Susan, hang on there. I'm going to pass you back to Tara now. Now, Michael came to me. Michael decided to treat himself, as you do, to a vanilla and coconut candle in a black glass jar. Now, it wasn't expensive. It only cost him £3. But he certainly didn't expect this candle to explode.
Burning away quite happily, noticed that the wick was going off centre. And I thought, well, I know it can happen, it can wander and come back in again. But this thing apparently just kept on going towards the edge of the glass. And it had been burning for, a few hours. So I went downstairs to make myself a cup of tea. And as I was walking back up the stairs, I heard what sounded like glass breaking. So I asked my son, I said, have you just dropped a glass? He said, no, Dad. I said, OK, no problem. So I walked into the bedroom, and as I turned around and looked at the TV, I noticed that half of the glass jar had just exploded all over my countertop, which this large lump of piece of glass, it's about, 3 inches by 4 inches. So almost half the glass is just blown away. It's only £3, but I'm more concerned that the fact is that it's exploded.
Well, Michael said to me that he contacted the retailer and doesn't feel as if they've taken his concerns particularly seriously. He's worried that this candle may well be one of a number, maybe a faulty batch or something along those lines. And although it didn't end in catastrophe for him, it might end in catastrophe for someone else. if in fact somebody else were to leave one of these candles in a room and to go into another room, for example, and it exploded and may well catch other things on fire. Well, I've been off to speak to the retailer on Michael's behalf and have a response. Michael's back on the JVS show. Hello, Michael.
Good morning.
Good morning to you. So you bought this candle from Poundland.
Yes.
And Poundland have come back with this response. They say, we are obviously sorry about Michael's candle, but we can confirm we have had no other similar complaints. Our quality assurance team examined the photographs, and we believe the fact the candle was positioned on a slope caused by open drawers beneath resulted in uneven melting of the wax, which allowed the wick to drift to one side. We would urge people not to leave any candle unattended, they say. Why are you laughing?
Because it's laughable. And I tell you the reason why. To me, they're just clutching at straws. They can't just accept the fact that they've got a problem. It could be, and I have spoken to them, and I said, look, I do admit it could well be just a one-off, or you could have a batch problem. However...
Well, they say there are no other complaints about it.
At the moment. Which is fine, and I'll be happy with that. The fact is that when they sent me that email and said, your drawer's open and therefore it's on the slant, and that's caused the wick to drift, I actually said, right, do you know what? I'll prove a point. So I've gone and got my spirit level, and I've put the spirit level on, and it's level, and I've done it with the drawer open, and it doesn't make a blind bit of difference. I also went downstairs, and I took a hammer to the candle, and I broke the glass completely, and then I've cut the candle in half. I've also sent that off to them, and you can clearly see, with the candle cut in half, exactly what the problem is. You can see the wicks kicked off to one side, and I believe the reason being is, I'm not sure how they make wax candles. I'm assuming it's very obvious, you melt the wax, it pours into the glass jar or whatever it is, and go from there. There is a large lump about the size of a bullet head, which is just sitting there, and you can clearly see it's a manufacturing issue without no shadow of a doubt, but I don't know how it's happened, but this large lump of wax has clearly dropped in whilst it was setting and has kicked off to one side. Hang on a second, Mike.
So are you saying that when you look at a cross section of the candle cut in half...
Yes.
I mean, the lengths that you've gone to here. Are you saying that when you look at a cross-section of the candle,
yes,
the wick is clearly positioned at the edge of the wax?
Yes, I believe I sent you a photo. I don't know whether you received it, but I've resent it back.
I've seen some of the candle photos, but I didn't see one of a cross-section cut into it, showing the wick running down the inside.
Yeah. I'd quite happily send it to you. It's not a problem. I definitely send it off to... it's definitely sent off to the company. Definitely.
Okay.
And I've chased them up. I said, look, I've had no communication from them at all. The last thing I had was that laughable excuse of their quality assurance. And I'm not having a go at their response from their customer services, but their quality assurance, and I'm going to put that in inverted commas, is the clutching at straws. I mean, for them to turn around originally and say, oh, it's a draft, then it's a heat source, now it's the fact that my drawers are open. And I just said to a specific lady that I'm dealing with there, I said, can you not just see that there is a problem with this candle? And as I said many times to the lady, she's a very nice lady, and she said she's on it, she's across it, trying to sort it out for me. And I said, I just want you guys to accept that this is an issue, and maybe just go back to your manufacturer and say, how is this possible that this can happen? Because I'm concerned, because I've been in places where, I've lost the top half of my house before due to a fire. So I am a little bit more probably over the top with it, but, candles and fire, they can cause a hell of a lot of damage. So, as I say, I have broke the glass, I have cut the candle in half, and I've clearly showed them the picture of this very hard lump of wax. And you can see that I'm assuming that as it's dropped into the candle, maybe from the machine that purges the wax, I don't know how candles are made, but it's like this lump of hard, unmelted wax has dropped into the candle. And that's what's kicked the candle off to one side. And yes, you're not really going to see that, but to go back to them and say, look, here's a problem, this is what's been going on, and then for them to come round and come out with just what, for me, is clutching at straws, trying to...
Yeah, but I mean, to be fair to them, if your complaint is the only complaint they've had, even if what you're saying is correct, that during the manufacturing process of this particular candle, the wick was not aligned in the middle of the candle, it was to one side, which has caused the problem. Even if that were the case, the fact that nobody else has complained about it, then it may well just have been a freaky one-off candle.
Totally agree.
That, thank goodness, didn't cause any problems, and they have no reason to believe this would necessarily affect anyone else, any more than any other candle could potentially have this problem.
Correct. My concern is the fact the glass exploded, and I would have thought it should be, I don't know, do they do heat-resistant glass? I'm assuming they do, because you have them in ovens, so... It just seems
but this is a cheap fragranced candle, isn't it? Yeah. I mean, if you're expecting heat-resistant glass in a £3 candle from Poundland...
Well, surely there should be some standard.
Yes, it should be of a reasonable standard, and it should be considered safe, absolutely, to a reasonable degree. But it's just whether or not your expectations as to how safe that glass should have been, it's whether those expectations are reasonable or not. I mean, I think what I'm certainly prepared to do is, if you've got a photograph showing a cross-section cut out of the candle, showing clearly the wax aligned to one side of the candle, I'm more than happy to go back to them and say you completely dispute their version of events, that this candle was positioned on a slope, and can they please comment on the manufacturing process of this, because is there not a chance if this has happened to your candle, it may well have happened to other candles that are sitting on the shelves of Poundland stores. I'm more than happy to do that.
Okay.
So let's take it from there. If you can please make sure I've got a photo that I can use as the illustration of that, and I will take it up with them again.
Okay, I'll fire it over to you later.
Lisa purchased a very large television 3 years ago for £629.
I went to switch it on one day and it kept blinking on and off. I tried it a few times throughout the day, kept doing the same thing. So I thought, I know that the company has a technical department. The chap said to me that it hadn't lasted a reasonable length of time under this consumer rights, and said I could pay an assessment fee. They would collect it, have a look at it. A week later, I had the TV returned with a note saying that they can't get the parts. Parts are unavailable. The delivery driver unwrapped the TV and said it's damaged. It wasn't damaged when it went off to them. When they brought it back in, he unwrapped it and the screen was scratched, the stand was scratched, all underneath was scratched. They contacted me and said they would offer me £503.93 in a voucher. However, they've rung me back and said they were actually offering me £209.
Well, to be honest, Lisa isn't quite sure what her options are. She was very unhappy that when they first of all made an offer to her, they then seemed to change that offer, and she really feels as if she's now left in a situation where she's going to have to pay a lot more money to get a new TV, and she's not best pleased. Well, I promised her I would contact the retailer to try and get things sorted out. Lisa's back on the JVS show now. Hello, Lisa.
Hello.
Hello. Now, I don't know if you're aware, there's actually some rather interesting news regarding the fundamental part of this issue, in that your TV was not repairable. Mm-hmm. There's some rather interesting news around today. Have you heard about this new law that's coming in?
I have actually. I've heard some, briefly.
It's very interesting. Let me just read the top line for everyone listening. Appliances such as fridges, freezers, washing machines and TVs should last longer and be cheaper to run under new rules. Ministers have confirmed that from the summer, consumers will have a right to repair on goods they buy. They're keeping a promise to implement EU rules aimed at cutting energy and bills and reducing the need for new materials. Excuse me. So the law that will come in apparently will state that products that we buy, such as washing machines, TVs, fridges, have to be repairable for up to 10 years.
Brilliant.
Which is great news, isn't it, really? Because we are now a very disposable society where things are designed to only last for a few years, then they break, then you take them down the tip, which is not great, really, is it, when we're trying to prevent landfill and when we're trying to save energy. So this new law that's going to come in is going to say to retailers and indeed manufacturers that they have to be selling products that will be repairable for 10 years.
I think that's brilliant.
It is good. And if that had been around when your TV was sold to you, then of course it would mean that this whole idea of them saying, sorry, we can't get the parts for your 3-year-old TV, therefore it's unrepairable, you'll just have to chuck it away, and here's a cash offer instead, that would not be acceptable. Mm-hmm. So I did indeed go and have a word with the retailer. They're Currys, and they've come back with this response. We are truly sorry that Lisa has had any confusion and frustration caused when having her TV repaired. We have apologised to Lisa for initially providing incorrect information on the amount she was due in depreciated credit for her faulty TV. We have since agreed to process a payment of £599 in order for her to replace her old TV for a new piece of amazing tech, they say.
Yes, they have been in contact with me the same day, actually. And yes, it was agreed, the $599, because there is a television of the same make and virtually the same model available for that. So
great.
They've agreed to do that for me.
Brilliant. Which, in effect, I mean, that's more than they needed to do. Yes. So I want to obviously thank Currys very much indeed. It's more than they needed to do, because it's perfectly reasonable for a retailer, and just so we're quite clear on this, when people have expectations that are too high for other people listening, when you've had a product for a number of years, if a company says, look, sorry, but we don't want to repair it, we don't feel that it is repairable, we don't feel as if it is worth repairing, therefore we would like to make you a cash offer instead, it is perfectly reasonable for them to deduct a reasonable amount for the use that you've had from the product.
Yeah.
So obviously if a TV costs £629 after you've had it for 3 years and you've used it for 3 years, it would not be reasonable to expect £629 back 3 years later. So the fact they're offering you $599 for you to be able to replace this TV with a brand new one of the same quality, that is them going above and beyond what they needed to do.
Yes.
But of course, they made a bit of a rod for their own back when they originally, based on what you were telling me, made offers of more than they needed to make you at that time. Once you've made an offer to a customer, you can't then take that offer away. It's not fair.
That was what I actually said to them. If I hadn't got so many different things said to me, it wouldn't have been so confusing from my end.
Yeah. Okay. Well, look, I'm very pleased that it's all sorted. We will thank Currys very much indeed for getting this sorted. I will give them the haul. Now, do you remember Dick? Just over 2 years ago, in November 2019, Dick purchased an AV amplifier.
It's a box of electronics. You connect to your Blu-ray DVD player, and you put lots of speakers on it, and the idea is to reproduce a cinema sound in your own home. 2 or 3 times a week I watch a movie. I paid £1,789 for it, and it's been great. I've had about 8 of these over the past 40-odd years, and never had a problem with any of them. Anyway, switched this one on a few weeks ago, started smoking, so I turned it off. It was a 2-year warranty and it was 8 weeks out, but I thought, well, I'll contact the retailer. So I contacted them, told them my problem, and they gave me an address of a repair centre that would look at it. So I wasn't too happy about that.
Yes, well, Dick was very annoyed, and Dick has an understanding of the Consumer Rights Act 2015. He understood that this product, which was not a cheap product, it was very expensive, it should have lasted for a reasonable amount of time, and the law gives you protection to expect just that. Dick's back on the JVS show now. Hello, Dick.
Hiya, mate.
Hello. Just remind us how much it was you'd spent on this amplifier.
It was £1,870 odd.
Yes, which certainly means it's not some cheapy amplifier. It should be a good one. It certainly should not have started smoking. You should not have had any problems with it whatsoever. Now, there are times, Dick, when I speak to a company and it's very clear they would rather just quickly try and resolve the matter before getting too embroiled in an argument. And do you know what? That's absolutely fine by me. There are some times when maybe a company realises quite quickly on reflection that the way they've dealt with something isn't ideal. And that was kind of the impression I got with the company when I went to have a word with them. I contacted them, I explained the situation, and I understand they got straight in touch with you. They've come back to me to say, look, we'd rather not make any comment really on it, but just so you're aware, we've sorted this out with our customer. So have they?
Yeah, about 3 hours after talking to you on Monday, I got a phone call from the retailer, and they said they'd cover all the costs of the repair.
Good. So they said, just go ahead, get it repaired, and we'll pay the bill, yeah?
Yeah.
And how are you feeling about that, Dick?
Much happier. Thank you very much.
Good. So do you know how much it's going to cost you to get it repaired?
Well, I haven't actually got to pay any money. I've paid £45, which you have to give them to look at it.
Okay, well, that you should get that back for a start.
Yeah, and the bill for the repair was £330.
Blimey.
Which made me sigh.
So hang on a second. You have to forgive me, Dick. My maths is absolutely terrible. It's not my strong point. So 45 quid to look at it, and 300 and how much?
300. Well, it's a few pennies under 330, but you get the £45 back if you go ahead with the repair.
Oh, I see. So it's about 330 quid then they need to pay to that repair place.
Yeah. Yeah.
And do you know how long's all this going to take? Did they give you any idea of that? Because you want your amplifier back so you can start Dick's film nights again.
Well, that's right, yeah. They didn't give me any clue, no. They just said they're going ahead with it.
Right.
And they said they would let me know when it's sort of going to come back.
Well, look, I don't go anywhere until things are resolved. So I'm going to give the company this. A bit of the horn. But they're not getting the rest until everything is 100% sorted. So can you please keep me in the loop and let me know?
I will do, yes. Thank you very much. Thank you very much from you and your team as well.
A similar experience with the company that I spoke to regarding Linda's jukebox yesterday afternoon. You see, Linda purchased a jukebox in January 2020. Apparently it's all singing and all dancing. It's got a radio, a record player and a CD player. But currently it's sitting in its box, not working at all.
It's a modern one. We did have an old one, but we got rid of it, and we bought this newer one, which was quite a bit of money, 752.49p. The first one we had to send back because it only lasted a couple of weeks. It wouldn't turn back on, so they replaced that. It was only a couple of weeks old. But we got the second one about the 15th of January 2020. It will not read any CDs. It worked when we got it, but no, it won't read any CDs. We've been emailing them. They said we can have a repair, or they could send out a new CD, and we can put it in at a cost, though.
Well, the simple fact is, again, the Consumer Rights Act of 2015 gives you, the customer, the right to expect that any product you purchase from a UK retailer should be A, fit for purpose, B, of reasonable quality, and C, should last for a reasonable amount of time. And this is a fundamental thing I want you to remember forevermore. The reasonable amount of time is not the same as how long you've got left on a warranty. So if a retailer ever says to you, sorry, it's over a year old, there's nothing we can do, that's nonsense. It's absolute nonsense. Never allow a retailer to fob you off with that rubbish, because a reasonable amount of time, as far as I'm concerned, and obviously it depends on how much you've spent on a product at the point of purchase, but a reasonable amount of time is considerably more than 12 months, as far as I'm concerned. Well, Linda's back on the JVS now. Hello, Linda.
Hello, Jonathan.
Hello, Linda. So I went off to have a word with this company yesterday, and I spoke to a very nice lady there who was extremely helpful. Now, I hadn't realised, when you talked about a jukebox, this is something that genuinely does look like an American-style jukebox.
It was lovely. Yes, I had it on all the time. As I say, I had your programme on all the time on it. And it had a lovely Lovely sound to it.
Got lights on it.
Yep.
It's the whole business, really, isn't it?
I've got a retro corner, you see, and it fitted in there lovely. So yeah, you were in my retro corner.
Oh, is it? But I'm not in your retro corner at the moment because the machine is sitting in its box. Now, I went off to have a word with this lady yesterday, and as I say, she was really helpful. She had a look at the account while I was on the phone, and she said, She said, She said, the only thing I would say is we had the first one that we gave the customer that was returned because it was faulty because it wouldn't play CDs. She said it was the same problem that's being reported now. But she said what's interesting was she said on the notes that we've got here, it says that when the customer sent the product back, they'd accidentally left one of the CDs in the machine. And we tried it, and it didn't work with that CD. But when we took that CD out and we put one of our own CDs in, it worked perfectly. So I wonder if it's actually a problem with Linda's CDs.
The first one we sent back, it wouldn't turn back on. We haven't. Is this one sitting in the front room boxed up now that they won't read the CD?
Well, she seemed to think that the first one was the same problem, and the notes on her system said something about the CD. When they got it, there was a CD left in it, and they looked at it, and when they tried it, it worked perfectly. So, but she said we replaced it anyway, so there's no issue. She said, do you know what? She said, do you know what? I think I'd rather just give her money back. Rather than getting involved in repairing this or replacing it, I'd rather just give her a refund. I said, well, that's fine if that's what you want to do. She said, yeah. She said, I'll tell you what, I'll give her a call now and we'll get her refunded. And I gather they called you, Linda.
Yes, at 3:15 yesterday, yep. And that's they wanted to know when it's best to pick up the jukebox. And Friday, they're coming to pick it up.
And you're getting a full refund?
And full refund, but because it's over the weekend, it'll probably be Monday or Tuesday that it'll go back into the account.
And are you happy with that?
Yes, I'm disappointed the jukebox isn't there, so we'll probably go and we'll probably look for another one.
Yeah, I mean, it was interesting that she wanted to refund you, and I do wonder, when a company's quite keen to refund, it does make you wonder whether they've had other issues and whether she's thinking, oh, do you know what? I don't want this to carry on anymore. Yeah. I'd rather just draw a line under this.
Yeah.
But I mean, either way, as long as she's prepared to give you your money back, that's all they need to do, and you can obviously now go and source something else, so you'll be able to listen to my programme again.
Yes, I will, on a new jukebox, hopefully.
On your new jukebox. Right, well, listen to the company. This is for the company so far. A bit of their horn. They'll get the rest as soon as you've got your money back. Can you please let me know when it happened? Hello, Roy.
Hello, Jonathan. You all right?
Yeah, I'm well, thank you, Roy. I gather you have a consumer problem. Tell me all about it without naming any company names, please.
Right. My utility company, obviously, that supplies the gas and electric and other things, I pay extra to have plumbing and drains cover. That costs me £162 a year for that, which means they come out and fix it with no charge. October, the toilet packed out, it wouldn't flush, it wouldn't do anything. So I called them out. The guy came along, because my toilet is one of those where the cistern is actually coupled directly on top of the toilet basin. And anyway, he came out and took a look at it. He said, oh, yes, I have to take it apart. So he got
sorry to interrupt you. Do you mean one of the old-fashioned toilets where you pull the chain?
No. Oh. The actual cistern is right behind the pan. So when you sit down, it's right behind your back.
Well, isn't that how they all are?
Well, no, there's no sort of pipe between that and some of them have a cistern with a pipe coming down into the back, don't they?
Oh, okay. So this is a. Okay, I know exactly what you mean. So the cistern is the back part of the toilet.
Yeah, it's all one piece. Yeah, if you like, it's like one unit.
Yeah, and how old is this toilet? How long have you had it?
It must be. Well, we've been here 20 years now. Sorry, it must be 20 years. Then.
Oh, blimey! Right. Okay. So it's doing well.
Oh yes, we had no problems. But anyway, so. It packed us. He came in, and what happens is the cistern is actually bolted to the back of the pan, which got a thing that sticks out a shelf. It bolted to the shelf. He said, what's wrong? I've got to put a new inside, the whole complete works in it. So he went away, got that, came back, took it all apart, put the works in. He spent quite a bit of time on it, and put it back on again, flushed it, And yes, it worked. And they said, okay, that's fine, that's very nice, thank you very much. And away he went. Well, a couple of days later, I had to get him back again because the flushing handle, where it had been fitted, it jammed up, so you couldn't flush it properly. So he came back and did that and fixed it on, fair enough. Then we carried on using it, and okay, over Christmas and everything else. And then in February, I happened to notice there was water leaking down the back.
So sorry, when was that? When was the repair carried out? In October.
October. So of course I thought, oh, okay. So of course I got in touch with.
By the way, thank you to everyone who's texting in saying that the correct name for your toilet is close coupled.
Oh right, okay.
It's a close coupled toilet. There we go.
My close coupled toilet. Yeah.
Every day's a school day on this show.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I didn't know how else to describe it. Anyway, so I got in touch with the utility company again and said to them, it's leaking at the back. And they said, okay. So they sent another plumber around, dismantle it and everything else, and look at it. And he found that what it was, in the end, cut long story short, what he found it was, the cistern is, where it bolts on and joins to the pan, it's got a big rubber donut in there, which is about 5 inches diameter and about ½ inch thick. So when you tighten it down, that pinches up. Anyway, he said he found that when you tighten it up, it wouldn't pull down tight enough. So anyway, cut long story short, he turned around and said he looked at it and he said, this is the wrong donut, it's too thin. So
and did the first guy replace your donut?
I assume when he did it, he had to remove that from the thing and put a donut on it, I assume, because the old donut is here. I've got it in the bag still. So he must have replaced that when he did it.
Right. Okay. Well, that's very annoying.
Okay. And of course, funny enough, the one that he replaced, I just chucked it on the shelf in the garage and left it there. Anyway, the bloke said, oh, that's what's wrong with it. The donut isn't thick enough to stop the water leaking out. But it only happens when you flush the toilet.
I see. So every time you flush the loo, a little bit of water leaks out, and that's where your problem is.
Yeah, you had 2/3 down the pan and 1/3 down the dribbling down the back.
As much as that?
Oh yes, it was quite. Because when you looked at what happened was how I happened to notice it. I'd used the toilet, and we got one of those things that's with a pipe, a thing that sticks up where you put about 4 toilet rolls on it, and I bent down to get that, and as I pulled it off, I could hear water. I could see it running out. And then, of course, when the toilet was full, it stopped.
But that's only been happening recently. From October, it was fine.
No, in October, when he first put it on and did it all, he didn't realise it was leaking past that thing, and nor did I. He put it together, flushed it, and he said, oh, it's okay, that's fine.
But wouldn't you have noticed, if it was leaking all the way from October, wouldn't you have noticed it before February?
Right, well, yes, I'd agree with that. If it was a leak in a pipe or something, I'd say yes, but because you only use the toilet, you don't use it all day long, all the time. It only leaks out when you flushed it. Once the toilet was full, it stopped.
Yeah.
So
where was that? Where was the water actually going? I mean, has it gone through? Has it caused any damage?
Well, what it did was when I started, because I then started looking around, and it was the floor felt funny, if you understand me. I can't quite describe it. Yeah. So anyway, I pulled the floor covering up, and what had happened, it had run down the back of the toilet, and then run along the side of the toilet to the front, and then to the left a bit, and formed the low place, where the low place was, formed a puddle there. So it soaked into the chipboard.
Right.
But then by the time you use the toilet again, that had already soaked in. So
I see. So are we to assume then that what's happened is the guy that came in October didn't do a very good repair? He left the toilet leaking, but you didn't realise because the water was going down and soaking into the chipboard in your bathroom, and it's only come to light when everything is so saturated with water that the water is now starting to collect quite visibly on the top.
Yes.
Right. Okay. Well, that's a big problem.
You know, and of course, I don't think, in all honesty, I don't think the guy he put it together, put the new works inside and everything else, and I don't think that he even probably realised himself it was leaking out there. You don't actually see it.
But what is very, very important in all of this?
Yeah.
Did the first guy who came out to repair the loo, did he replace that rubber donut?
I'm assuming he did. I didn't see it because he was in the bathroom. Because of this COVID thing, I had to put him in there, let him shut the door, then go and sit somewhere else until he finished.
Did the second guy who come, because the first guy who came out, he said you needed a whole new innard for your cistern, yeah?
Yep.
Did the second guy say whether, as part of the whole new innards, that would also involve this donut that you talk about?
No, he didn't say that. No, because
Because I guess the only slight complication to this is how do we know? You've got a 20-year-old toilet. How do we know that actually that donut that's in the loo was the original donut and it failed after the first guy had done the repair, and it's therefore unfair to blame him for that?
Yeah, I could agree with that. Yeah, that sounds fair enough. You know, but
I guess that's something we do need to just bear in mind, to be fair. So, what's the situation now, and what can I do to help you?
Right. Well, I would assume in that case, then, from what we're saying, the fact he's given me a donut here, the old donut, there must have been a donut supplied with the system because you have to take the pan off, take the cistern off to change the works. So you'd have to take this washer or this donut out.
Okay.
And I would take it that it must come with a donut. Of course,
does it look new?
The one they took out.
Yeah, or does it look 20 years old?
No, it looks. When you look at it, looks all right. It's.
Okay. Well, I presume a rubber. Is it kind of like a rubber flange?
Yeah, it's like an O-ring.
Right. Well, if it's surely a 20-year-old rubber one would look 20 years old, wouldn't it? Be a bit rough around the edges, a bit perished.
Well. No, it's not perished at all. No, I've got. There's actually two here.
Okay.
One is one is a bigger one, and one is a smaller one. Now, I think from what the guy was saying, the one that he took off was this smaller one, and he then put another one on and resealed it and put it back together, and it didn't. It got rid of that problem.
Right. So what damage has it left, and what do you now need me to do to help you?
Right. Okay. I understand that because the fact that the water only came out intermittently, you didn't notice it, you couldn't see it. If it had been a burst pipe, you'd have seen it running out and everything.
Yeah, but has it left damage to your bathroom?
Yes, it needs the floor now needs replacing.
That's what I was getting to. So the floor needs replacing. And will the company that sent round the first engineer, who, based on what you're saying, it sounds as if he didn't do the job very well and subsequently has caused this big problem now, will they replace your floor?
Right. When I got in touch with them and explained what happened and said about this leaking out, they turned around and said, "Oh, we have to go through a set system of complaints." So I said, okay, fair enough. I gave them all the information and everything else. And I said to the girl that was taking it, she said, it takes 8 weeks. I said, well, can you do it sooner than that? Because what I've had to do is my wife, who's disabled and partially sighted, I have to put a plank on the floor to stop your feet pushing through it, if you understand me. And I said, I can't leave that for 8 weeks like that. It's too dangerous. So she said, well, I'll put it to them and see what happens. But they've never come back to me. They've never come round and looked at it or nothing.
Right,
it still sits there now as it is.
Okay, well, we need to... And have you complained to the main company that you have the policy with?
Yes, I have. And what the sobering thought is, when they sent me the letter saying, we're looking into this, there's a little leaflet with it. And the little leaflet says, after 8 weeks... we'll send you our decision about your complaint or explain why we've not yet reached one. If you have a problem with this, you can get in touch with the financial ombudsman and sort it out with them. Or the other thing you can do is to pay a contractor to come around and get it all done and then try and claim the money back from us.
Okay.
So...
Right, well, let's see what we can do. A lot of the texts that are coming in, and thank you very much indeed for so many of you who obviously know a thing or two about plumbing and know a thing or two about changing toilets and this kind of thing. You're suggesting that absolutely you would have to replace this rubber donut as part of the job. Brian says, always replace the donut. You make sure the cistern is tightened down on the donut or it will leak for sure. Stephen Hemmel says the engineer should have replaced the donut anyway when you're doing this kind of repair. Well, we need to go and have a word with the company and we need to say to them, look, this is unacceptable. It would appear whoever came out to do the job in the first place hasn't done it very well, has caused now a massive problem. Roy's given you an opportunity to make it right. And you're now just telling him he's got to put up with a bathroom where the floor's all rotten and falling apart for 8 weeks. It's ridiculous.
Well, that is frustrating, isn't it? Because obviously that may well have been leaking for 5 months, which even if it is just a small amount of water can cause a lot of problems.
Yeah, absolutely. Water can cause huge amounts of damage in a very short space of time. It's water and fire are just a nightmare in a property. You don't want either of them. Now, look, let's see what we can do. I'll pass you back to Tara, Roy. We'll get some detail. We'll go and have a word, OK? Chelsea purchased tickets for her and her 2 daughters to go and see Billie Eilish in concert. They were really looking forward to this, but then coronavirus came along.
The concert was meant to be on the 22nd of July. At first, it was just postponed, but then eventually it was cancelled, and I still haven't seen a refund. And I wouldn't mind so much, only the tickets were kind of expensive. £688.91.
Blimey.
Oh, no. Originally, I'd bought tickets for O2 in London, and they were face value tickets. But it turned out that my daughter wasn't able to go then because she's in the Army Cadets, and they had a camp going on those dates. So by then, all the tickets were sold out, and so I was really putting the feelers out for some resale tickets, but I didn't want to just buy them directly off someone because then there wouldn't be any guarantees or anything. So I went to a third party instead who offered guarantees with it, but they say they're going to refund me, but there's no money.
Well, it's very frustrating, and Chelsea had been more than patient as far as I was concerned. Enough's enough. They need to get their chequebook out and make sure Chelsea has got plenty of money back in her bank account. Thank you very much indeed. And that's exactly what I went to explain to this company on her behalf. Chelsea's back on the JVS show. Hello, Chelsea.
Hi, Jonathan.
Hello, Chelsea. So the company concerned is StubHub. They came back, they said StubHub is a global marketplace that connects buyers and sellers to attend live events. The effect of the pandemic has affected many industries, with one of the most impacted being the live events and hospitality industry, leading to postponements and/or cancellations. These exceptional circumstances and volume of cancellations in a relatively short period of time have disrupted the way we used to operate before the coronavirus, and it's impacted the numerous internal procedures, unfortunately leading to some delays in refunds. That being said, StubHub continues to maintain its Fan Protect guarantee and is currently working on reducing refund processing timelines. Nevertheless, some refunds are and may continue to experience some delays. We greatly appreciate our customers' patience and understanding during this extraordinary time. As for the specific case of Chelsea, we expect that she will receive her refund in the next couple of days, and we apologise for any inconvenience this delay may have caused, and we thank her for her patience. Well, as you know, that response came back at the end of last week, and I read that to you at the beginning of this week, and I said to you, can you please keep me posted and let me know what happens? And you've been monitoring your account all week for me. What's happened, Chelsea? What's going on?
I've had my refund. Hooray!
Fantastic.
Thank
the full
you.
amount.
Oh, it's amazing how quickly things can happen when you get involved.
So you've got the full amount,
I'm very happy. Yeah, the full amount. They haven't emailed me or anything. I've not actually heard anything from them, but the money has gone back onto my credit card, so I'm really, really happy about that.
Thank goodness for that.
I'm so glad that I wrote into your show because I was really nervous about coming on the radio, and I was thinking, oh no, I won't do it. And then I thought, no, take the plunge. It'll be fine, and I have, and now in less than a week, here I am. I've got my money back, so thank you.
There you go. Well, absolute pleasure to help you, and it wasn't that bad coming on the radio, was it really?
No, it's actually just like having a normal phone call, to be honest. So for anyone out there, if you're feeling a bit nervous, like I am or was, then don't worry about it. Just send email. Don't forget to put your phone number on it, like I did.
Are we paying you or something, Chelsea? Have they slipped you a fiver before you came on to speak to me? For goodness' sake, I mean, this is textbook. Listen, thank you very much.
Tell that I just listen to your show too much, obviously.
Well, I'm delighted you do. And listen, I want to thank StubHub very much indeed for getting it sorted. I will give them my infamous horn. Any other problems, you know where I am. Lisa wanted to do something rather nice for her daughter.
I booked a holiday October 2019 to go to Mallorca with my daughter. It was a treat after her exams because she was supposed to do her GCSEs last year. They cancelled. They said that they were giving everyone credit notes for now, and then from September, you could write for a cash refund, which I did. And since then, I've been getting false promises and dead ends, basically.
Well, Lisa had spent £884 with this company, and, well, when she first came to my programme, she said there was no sign of the refund, and she just didn't know what to do. Now, when I saw the company that she'd booked this holiday through, I thought, no, okay, well, that should be okay. I've had dealings with them before, and they've always been pretty cooperative, and they've always provided responses, and to be honest, to be fair to them, in the past, they've always kind of resolved matters for customers, or if they haven't resolved matters, they've explained why they don't feel it's the right thing to do. But I'm afraid, in Lisa's case, I have been met with a wall of silence, and it is extremely frustrating. Lisa's back on the JVS show now. Hello, Lisa.
Hi, Jonathan.
Hello. The company that you booked this holiday through was Teletext Holidays.
It is, yeah.
I have emailed Teletext Holidays. I have called. I was told that at one point they were very busy because of coronavirus and having to deal with refunds. So, they would be getting in touch. Nothing. And this has gone on since, just to put it in perspective, my first contact with them was on the 14th of January this year. So we're almost 2 months down the line.
Yeah.
And they have not responded at all. And they continue not to respond. And in fact, I dropped them a line yesterday afternoon just to make them aware of the fact that we would be discussing this case again on the programme today, and to give them an opportunity to finally come back with some kind of response. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Now, I know that last time you and I spoke, I explained to you that your next step, because Teletext Holidays, they're not members of ABTA, so you can't go through ABTA arbitration, which is an arbitration process that is there for customers of ABTA members. Mm-hmm. So the only thing really you can do now is to take them to the Small Claims Court to try and get your £884 back. Now, I know that you wrote the letter to them, and I scanned my eyes over the letter. It was very good. I was very impressed with your letter, wasn't I?
Yeah, you were.
It was an excellent letter that you wrote to them, just putting them on notice that you were giving them an opportunity to finally refund you the money for this holiday that never happened, or alternatively, you would begin Small Claims Court action. And they then came back to you, didn't they? After all of this, they then finally, when threatened with legal action, decided to respond.
Yeah.
And the response that came back was that they were going to pay you.
Mm-hmm.
They weren't particularly precise in terms of exactly when you were going to get paid, but they were going to pay you, and it was going to be within a reasonable amount of time.
Yeah, by the end of February.
That's right. So here we are now, 11th of March. Mm-hmm. We've given them till their deadline at the end of February, plus some extra time. Yep. I presume, Lisa, you are now looking at a bank account with £884 having been refunded into it.
I'd like to say yes, but I'd be lying.
I just can't believe it. I just cannot believe this.
I haven't heard anything else since that one phone call I had in February. Yeah.
It is most odd. It really is odd. What are you going to do now? I mean, I guess really now you've put them on notice that you would take them to court unless they were forthcoming with the refund. They still haven't been forthcoming with the refund. Are you now going to begin that Small Claims Court action?
Yeah, I started it I sent it off Sunday, I believe it was.
Right.
So I had to pay for it, obviously, but it depends how much you're claiming for. So my amount wasn't too much, but I still had to pay to get my own money back.
Well, it's just absolutely, it's galling. And Teletext Holidays, I mean, just from a PR perspective, this is just awful. Why would anyone who listens to this programme, who's following this story, why would anyone feel confident in booking a holiday with Teletext Holidays for this year, having heard Lisa's nightmare trying to get back £884 from you for a holiday that was cancelled from last year?
Yeah,
and the fact that
so we're heading towards a year, really.
The fact that they haven't even had the courtesy of coming back to say, you know, oh, we're terribly sorry, we are trying to refund customers, but unfortunately there's a massive backlog, or nothing. It's just a wall of silence to me. I mean, at least they came back to you and made that promise of refunding you by the end of February that then didn't happen again. I mean, it's just going from bad to worse.
Yep. Still waiting.
Can you please keep me in the loop?
I will do, yeah.
What, in terms of the court action, when you filled in all the paper, I know there's quite a backlog for small claims court action as well, but did it give you any idea as to when this was likely to be resolved through the small claims court system?
It just said an outline of 6 weeks to 6 months.
Yeah, well... Yes, and I know there is a backlog. I would fully expect Teletext Holidays to pay you before this actually gets to court.
I hope so.
I would fully expect it, but quite how long it's going to take, and I mean, why they are hanging on to your money for all this time, it just feels very, very unfair. I'm well aware the travel industry has taken a battering over the last year with coronavirus. We all know that. And I think most reasonable people are absolutely understanding of the fact that refunds from companies may take longer than everyone would like. Yeah. But there is a limit. You know, under the package holiday regulations, you are entitled to a refund within 2 weeks.
Well, that's well and truly gone.
Exactly. Now, you may well be prepared to extend that to maybe a month or even 2 months, but you've now been waiting since June of last year.
Yeah.
It's just crazy. Enough is enough. Enough is enough. Teletext Holidays, what on earth are you playing at? It's a nightmare. Lisa, can we keep in touch? Can you please let me know what happens? As I say, I fully expect between now and the court action actually beginning, I fully expect that Teletext Holidays will refund you the money. It would be fascinating, though, to see if they do let it go all the way to court.
Yeah, I think they have done with a few people, but...
Well...
Never mind, we'll see.
We will see. Lisa, keep in touch, and I will continue to discuss this problem on my programme until it's resolved.
Thank you very much for your help.
Thank you very much indeed. Teletext Holidays, come on. Just pay Lisa. If you just pay her, we can then conclude this story on the programme. Now, at the end of November 2020, Susan looked out of the window and saw something she really wasn't expecting.
A delivery man came down our private road, not to deliver to us, somewhere else, and realised he couldn't get out on the bottom because it's very, very narrow. So he decided to turn around on my lawn. I sort of saw him stuck there, so went out. My neighbour came with his truck and tried to pull it off, which it snapped his 3-ton load wire that he had. It actually snapped that, so it must have been well over 3 tons, the lorry that came onto the lawn. And for 4 hours it sat there, and this guy was trying to get it, you know, forwards and backwards. And basically he just went further and further, deeper and deeper into the lawn, and just caused such a huge amount of damage that my gardener said it would cost about £120 to get it fixed.
Well, the 150 quid for getting the lawn fixed, plus the £30 for replacing the cost of her neighbour's, well, it's like a tow rope, isn't it? One of those posh tow ropes. But she was saying months later, there's just no sign of any of the money and she's had enough. Well, I promised I would contact the company. I did that yesterday on her behalf. Susan's back on the JVS show. Hello, Susan.
Good morning.
Hello, Susan. So the company concerned, as you are well aware, is Hermes.
Yeah.
I contacted them yesterday and explained the situation and said, what's going on? Why has Susan not received her money back? I came into work this morning to find this response. We are about to contact the customer to apologise. This should have been paid and it will be rushed through tomorrow. So, 2 questions. Firstly, have you heard anything from them? And secondly, have you checked your bank account to see if there's 150 quid sitting in it?
Yes, on both of those accounts. Yesterday they phoned me and told me that they would give me the money tomorrow. And I checked my bank account probably an hour ago, and there it was, plus a little extra, which after yesterday talking to the gentleman, he said that if I would like a little bit more, and I said, well, okay. So he's put a little bit more in. So, yeah.
Wow. Well, there we go. So you're happy, Bunny?
Of course. And I want to thank you profusely. I mean, it's so fast just because you spoke to them. So many months have passed and nothing happened. And then, way-ho, Jonathan spoke and miraculously it happened. So, yeah.
Well, I'm delighted that it's all sorted. What about your lawn? Have you already had it repaired or is it still sitting there with craters in it?
Yes, it's been done.
Okay, good. Well, you'll be the talk of your road now this year with your smart lawn, won't you? Shall I?
Okay.
I'll thank Hermes very much indeed and give them the horn. Any other problems, Susan? You know where we are. Marie decided to buy something to make her look really glamorous on a night out.
I went on a social website and I saw a really nice fitted wig. And I thought, wow, I can tie my hair back and stick that on and I look really glamorous. And it was human hair. It was beautifully done. So cleverly done. You couldn't even see at the front of the hairline where the forehead is. It's actually got baby hairs that would stick onto your forehead. I must say, it was very well packaged. When I took it out, the wig I saw online was more of a burgundy colour. This was a little bit brighter, and it didn't look nothing like the picture. It looked like a curly perm. I just put it back in the box. I was so fed up. I had about 3 people round and they were looking at it. Oh my gosh, it's nothing like that picture.
Well, Marie sent the wig back to China, where she'd bought it from. That was back at the beginning of February. And when she first came to the programme, it would appear they hadn't received it back. But she's very worried that even if they do receive it back, she's not going to get her money back. And it was a lot of money. It was £115. Well, I know Tara has been speaking to that company in China, and Marie's back on the JVS now. Hello, Marie.
Hi, Jonathan.
Hello, Marie. Now, just as a word of warning, I just want to make sure this message has thoroughly got through. You're not going to start buying stuff off social media directly from China again, are you?
No, I've been in talks with a company in the UK, in Bedfordshire.
I was going to say.
As soon as I get my money back, I'll be using her.
Now, the reason that I say that is that in the UK, we have the Consumer Rights Act. We have consumer law that is there to protect customers. And if you buy a product, whether it be a wig or a kettle, from a UK-based retailer, then if the worst happens, you have consumer protection set in legislation that you can use to try and get your money back or to get the product fixed or whatever it may be. If you're buying a product from some company in China, I mean, firstly, you'll be lucky if they even bother to respond to you. Secondly, you're not going to be able to take them to court. What are you going to do? Take a company in China to court? I mean, good luck with that. And then even if you come to a programme like this, a lot of companies in China, in my experience, they couldn't give a tuppenny whether the BBC's discussing them or not. So when you first came to the programme, I wasn't particularly hopeful. But Tara, when you contacted this company, they did actually seem a little more keen to resolve the problem than maybe I had feared. What's the latest on this? What's going on now?
Yeah, actually, Jonathan, they were certainly quite quick in getting back to me, although the first initial response was, can you give me your customer number? Which is always a bit frustrating because it always seems as though they haven't read the initial letter that we've sent them, because effectively we're saying we're working on behalf of somebody else.
Quite.
So I did send them the order number again, and they said, quite clearly that they can only help the customer apply the refund when they receive the hair according to their own returns and refund policy, which was fair enough. The thing was, it took 2 weeks to get to you, but it was taking over 4 weeks to be returned to them because you had the parcel tracked, didn't you? And that was one of the things that you were keeping an eye on. And I know the last time we spoke, I said, can you have another look? And as soon as you find out that the wig has been returned to China, get in touch with me. Marie, it was very good that yesterday you sent me the details of the track and trace document that you'd got from the company that you'd employed to send it over there.
Have they got it now?
And they'd received it.
Oh, good.
Which was great.
So where's your money?
So I got in touch with them and to just say, I've got the proof now that the wig has been successfully delivered to the company. Please advise when you will be processing her refund.
Yeah.
And then I came into work this morning to a nice little email here.
Does it say we've done it now?
Not quite.
Oh.
It just goes straight into it all, but I did get a hello, which is nice. Thank you for your reaching out. I have processed the refund to the customer as the return and refund policy, and the bank may need some time to process it. Please let the customer check it.
Right.
So it may be a few days, but at the moment they did respond pretty quickly and said that they have processed the refund. So it's going to be on your behalf, Marie. Just keep check on whether or not this refund has gone through.
Yeah, I have. I checked this morning. It's not in yet, but I did get an email from them saying you have received a refund. Total amount refunded $150. But I haven't got anything in there yet. So like you say, it might take a couple of days.
I mean, this is much more encouraging than we've had previously with companies where people have bought stuff directly from China. So, I mean, let's just hope that they do come good and they want to get this resolved. I'm not going to hold my breath, but I am much more hopeful with this than I have been with other cases where we've dealt with companies in China. Can you please keep us in the loop and let us know when it turns up?
Definitely, I will do, Jonathan. Thank you for everything you've done.
OK, thank you very much indeed. Thank you, Tara. But until the company has actually deposited the money in Marie's account, they're not having my horn.
Yeah, hello, Jonathan.
Hello, Michael. I gather you have a consumer problem. Tell me all about it without naming any company names, please.
OK. I purchased a porch awning for my caravan the end of February 2020. And now the zip was broken. I've contacted the firm, but they don't recognise the Consumer Rights Act.
OK, so let's just go back a little bit. So this porch awning, is that, and you'll have to forgive me, but, you know, I'm not a caravaner, to be honest with you. I don't, sorry, I know you caravanners, you love it, but I just do not get it one bit. But this awning, is that the kind of the tent bit that you can buy to go at the side of your caravan? So you've got a little kind of undercover area to sit.
Yeah, it's just a porch awning that goes up, covers half the caravan.
Right. And you purchased it for how much?
£463.
OK, and in terms of porch awnings, £463, what, does that buy you a good one, a reasonable one, or a cheap one?
It should buy you a good one. It's supposed to be heavy duty. I bought a lightweight awning before, and that was £134.
Oh, right, OK. But this is supposed to be a good one that's going to last you for a long time and it's going to be able to withstand the weather.
Yeah, especially for winter.
When did you get it?
I ordered it on the 27th of the 2nd, 2020.
And when did you get it?
About a week later.
OK. And did you have opportunities last year to use it?
Yes, it's up now. I'm on private land.
Oh, okay. Do you live in the caravan?
No. I come out here to get away from and isolate myself.
Oh, is this caravan your kind of man cave?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, right. So the awning has been up for the last year?
No, it's only been here for the last 2 months.
Oh, okay, right. And you say there's a problem with the zip. Which zip has gone?
You get two entrances into the awning. You got one either side, and one of the zips you can't undo it or do it up. The teeth don't go together.
Right. OK, so have you contacted the company that you bought it from?
Yeah, I've contacted them, but they say the 2-year guarantee doesn't cover the zip.
But it's nothing to do with the guarantee. I mean, unless you've damaged the awning, unless you've damaged the zip, then based on the Consumer Rights Act, the product has to be of reasonable quality, fit for purpose, and must last for a reasonable amount of time.
Yeah, I have emailed them the Consumer Rights, but they just say that the zip is not covered, and they're not willing to help me.
But it's nothing to do with the warranty. What's covered by the warranty or not, that's something separate. This is nothing to do with the warranty. You've bought an awning from this company that has a zip entrance to it, and the zip entrance is obviously, unless you've done something... Well, let's just get this out of the way first of all. Have you done anything to that zip that could have damaged it?
No, I'm on my own, so it doesn't get abused with a load of children going in or out.
Right.
It's just me.
So if you and the zip was working okay previously?
Yeah, since the bad weather, it's started to in between the teeth, all the material's frayed, so the teeth don't go together.
Okay, well, then the product is not of reasonable quality and hasn't lasted for a reasonable amount of time. And quite what it says in the warranty, I mean, I don't really care, to be honest. The simple fact is the retailer that took your £463, from what you're telling me, has sold you a product that's not of very good quality and hasn't lasted for a reasonable amount of time. And they can either resolve that for you, or you'll take them to the small claims court.
Yeah, that's why I've come to you, to get your help, because they won't listen to me.
Right. Okay, well, it sounds like I need to go and have one of my Consumer Rights Act conversation with this company. It really does frustrate me when, and I'm sure a lot of retailers, I'm sure a lot of them do it on purpose. They try and use the warranty and the limitations of a warranty to justify why they're not prepared to help a customer. But the warranty does not affect your statutory rights. You've probably seen it when you go and buy, if you go and buy something from a retailer, very often it will have on the back of the receipt, it will say, here's our guarantee, 21 day, you can return stuff, do this, blah, 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 blah. And then it will say, this does not affect your statutory rights. Now, what that means is all of this warranty, all of the extra goodwill we're offering you, none of that changes your rights as per the Consumer Rights Act of 2015, i.e. the law.
Yeah.
And therefore, a warranty cannot be used as a justification for not actually doing what is required of a retailer under the law. And it sounds like I need to go and speak to that company on your behalf and make sure they understand that. Michael!
Yes, please.
What do you do in your caravan, then?
I just love it.
Yeah, but
peaceful.
But doing what? I mean, do you just sit out there and have a beer, or...?
No, I very rarely drink. I do a lot of walking with my dog.
Yeah.
I've got a little dog.
Yeah, but then you come home and then you go and sit in your caravan?
Yeah, I listen to the radio. I listen to you a lot.
Well, I mean, I'm delighted that you listen anywhere, but you have a house as well?
Yeah.
So why wouldn't you just come home from walking the dog and sit in your house?
Because I like to be in the countryside.
Oh,
and
I
the house
see.
Isn't.
And when you sit in the caravan, then you feel as if you're in the countryside?
Yeah, listen to all the wildlife and everything.
Oh, right, okay.
Honestly, Michael, Jonathan doesn't get it.
I don't get it.
He couldn't think of anything worse than being in a caravan or a tent, but he's the one missing out, Michael. I think you've got it.
It's just like a fridge on wheels, isn't it?
It's not.
It is.
I can't really describe it, but if you love caravanning or camping, it's like being outside, and you kind of feel a bit like self-sufficient. It's hardly being Bear Grylls, but it just feels different, and it's nice to hear the rain on a bit of tin or a bit of canvas. Oh, it's lovely.
I've only ever been to a static caravan. It was at Walton on the Naze.
Oh, I've been there.
Right, lovely. And in this static caravan, I was there for one night. Awful. Just, I don't get it. I don't understand why anyone would want to be.
How old were you when you went to the static caravan?
Well, young enough to have agreed to go there in the first place, but old enough to remember it. And it never again.
I've got so many brilliant memories of being in a static caravan. I remember going to Tenby on holiday, and one of the best things about being in a static caravan was one night.
You even say it in a slightly northern way. Caravan. Yes.
One night, somebody else came into our caravan, even though it wasn't theirs, but they were preceded by their 4 Yorkshire Terriers who came in. It's such fun. When you're about 8 or 9, it's the best thing in the world. It's like having your own personal doll's house.
I just don't get it, but there we go. It doesn't matter if I don't get it, because it's your pride and joy, Michael. You love it, and you want your awning to be of reasonable quality, and that I do care about. So let me go and have a word with that company on your behalf and try and get things sorted. Rob bought a brand new property about a year ago. As is very common with this kind of situation, there was a snagging list, and Rob said the developer had been working through that snagging list, but there was one particular bugbear.
The main issue we've got, which doesn't seem to be getting resolved, is we've got a fence which is only about 4 foot high on our side because they've installed it in a dip. So where the hard standing ground is, we're good sort of 2-3 foot higher than the fence, which is obviously not great for privacy from the neighbours and vice versa. They've sent out two of their contractors, their ground worker contractor and their fencing contractor, both blame each other. And then the developers sort of saying, well, they're both blaming each other, but we admit there's an issue there, and just nothing's getting done.
Well, Rob was hoping that I could go and have a word with the developer to try and get things sorted out, and hurried up as well, because this just seemed to be taking an absolute age. Well, I have to be honest with you. It's taken an absolute age while I've been involved as well. But let's find out what the latest is, because Rob's back on the JVS show. Hello, Rob.
Hi, how are you? You all right?
Yes, I'm well, thank you. But this is quite frustrating, because just looking back at my records, and I know that obviously we've had the lockdown and we've had the winter, which doesn't solve the problem. But, you know, I've been in contact with this company since November of last year, when they first came back with this response. And the company concerned is Redrow. And they came back with this statement. They said, Robert Harding, Head of Customer Services at Redrow, South Midlands, said, we are aware of a ground level difference in one of the gardens at this particular development, and we have been in contact with the homeowner to resolve this. Due to fencing material shortages, there's unfortunately been a delay in sourcing replacement panels. However, we are working with our network of supply chain partners and liaising with the customer to get this installed at the earliest opportunity. Well, okay, great. But as I say, that was back in November. And this has gone on and on and on. I've chased them up several times in the meantime. The last statement I had from them, again, Robert Harding came back and said, since the fencing issue was initially raised, we have been liaising with the homeowner to determine the best course of action and have agreed on a suitable solution to resolve the matter. We are currently working closely with our suppliers to complete the required works at the earliest possible date, pending permission from all interested parties. Well, you were telling me that the last you heard was that they were going to come out, they were going to redo the fence. It wasn't the perfect solution, but it was a solution that you felt would solve the problem and actually you were prepared to live with. Your neighbour next door, they were prepared to live with the solution as well. There had been a delay apparently in sourcing the materials. And yet even that was quite frustrating, because last time you and I spoke, Rob, you said what's annoying is the fences all seem to be going up absolutely perfectly at the other brand new houses they're still building. It's just trying to repair and replace my fence. That seems to be the sticking point. Well, anyway, I gather things have finally happened this week. What's going on, Rob?
Yeah, we've got two workmen outside as we speak. The fence is completely out, and the concrete boards are going in. So, touch wood, we should be completed by Friday.
Okay, so that's the deadline. Is it Friday for them to do it?
They've booked out this week. They reckon, they should be finished. Friday afternoon, hopefully.
Well, that's good. How is it looking so far? Because just for people who haven't been following the story throughout, just so they can picture it in their heads, what's being done is concrete bits are being put at the bottom.
Yeah, I think they're called gravel boards. So concrete gravel boards are going in because where it's in the dip, we're going to level our land with our gardener eventually. So that will then have all the soil go up against the gravel boards, which will also then raise the height of the fence by about 300-400 mil. So it'll be like a normal height fence.
Which then because that's the crucial issue. You then want the fence to be a reasonable height to give you a level of privacy in the garden without at certain parts of the garden, you being able to see directly over your neighbour's fence and vice versa.
It was ridiculous. We were about half a metre above the fence at times. It was just really daft how they'd done it. Even when the fencing people came out, they sort of looked at it and went, well, that's not right, as soon as they got here.
Yes. Well, I mean, let's just hope that it's all going to look nice. As you say, if you're going to level the garden anyway, then you can bring the soil level up to cover that. Because what you don't really want is loads of concrete at the bottom of the fence, because that's going to look a bit ugly, isn't it?
No, our side, we won't really see any. And I think the neighbours are planning on putting something across it so they won't have to look at it too much either.
Good. Okay. And if worst case happens, grow something against it.
Absolutely. At the moment, it looks like a complete building site out there because all the torrential weathers. It's very muddy out there at the moment.
Oh, dear. Well, look, I'm going to give the company this. Oh, just a little bit of the horn. They'll get the rest as soon as everything's sorted out. Can you let me know? We'll either talk Friday or Monday.
Yeah, absolutely. No worries at all.
Hello, Jonathan.
Hi, Julie. I gather you have a consumer problem. Tell me all about it without naming any company names, please.
Okay. We bought a new fridge freezer 15 months ago, December 2019. 2 weeks ago, some of our electrics started tripping, and it took a while for us to narrow it down, but it turned out to be the fridge freezer. The back is mostly sealed, but my husband managed to get a picture by holding his phone underneath, and you can see some sort of burning area inside. I emailed the company who sold it to us, and their policy is we should contact the manufacturer, but I said by law they have to sort it out because I think that's what's right. They said they could send an engineer out to fix it if we signed up for $15.99 a month for 12 months.
Oh, that. Do you know, it's been a while since I've heard that old chestnut.
I know.
We used to hear that quite a lot, where retailers would suddenly start saying, and indeed manufacturers would start trying to use the opportunity of a customer coming to them with a perfectly valid claim under their statutory rights to sell them an insurance policy they don't need in order to solve the problem.
Yeah, or we could have an engineer for a one-off visit for £119.
Oh, I see. How lovely of them.
It wasn't in warranty, so I have to pay, and I disagreed, stating it was a bit more serious than a normal breakdown, and I wouldn't feel safe with a fix. I want to change it for a different model or make.
No, but that really misses the fundamental part. Whether it's a repair or a replacement that's necessary, this is not down to you.
Okay.
Because the Consumer Rights Act of 2015 states that any product you purchase from a UK manufacturer must be fit for purpose, of reasonable quality, and must last for a reasonable amount of time.
Yeah, that's
Who in their right mind would buy a fridge freezer that would only last for 2 years? Not me.
No.
And I'm sure not you either. How much did you pay for this fridge freezer?
$469. We actually have, from the same make, a fridge freezer in our summer house that's nearly 30 years old that still works.
Well, you're lucky. I mean, that is a stroke of luck, but it still doesn't. It does not change the fact that the law protects you. So any retailer that starts suggesting, oh no, we don't have to do anything, the warranty's run out, therefore there's nothing we can do. It's just nonsense, and they either are ignorant to the law or they understand the law, but they hope that you'll be ignorant enough that if they fob you off enough, you'll go away and you won't bother them anymore and it won't cost them anything to sort it out.
Yeah. So the last offer is they're sending out an engineer from the manufacturer because of the severity and nature of the fault. The inspection's free, but if I agree for him to repair it, it's £75 a reduced fee towards any repairs. I'm not sure where I stand with all this.
I can tell you where you stand. Did you break your fridge freezer?
No.
Have you done anything in the use of your fridge freezer that would have caused it to start burning at the back?
No.
Therefore, do you think it's fair for you to have to pay anything for this fridge freezer that you've only had? When did you buy it, in 2019?
December, 15 months old.
So do you think it's fair that a 15-month-old fridge freezer you're being asked to pay money to fix now?
No, not at all, and I've said that to them. I don't expect to pay anything.
Right. Well, let me put it like this. You're right, and they're wrong.
Oh, good.
Okay? So, it's very simple. You're the one that has the right on your side, and they are the ones that are completely wrong. And it sounds to me as if they're trying to suggest to you that they are doing something to help you. And it sounds to me as if they're trying to imply that they're going over and above to help you.
Yeah.
But in actual fact, what they're really doing is trying to do the absolute bare minimum they can get away with, so they don't have to take full financial responsibility for the fact that they sold you a product that started to burn out after 15 months.
Yeah, exactly.
It's ridiculous. Would you like me to go and have a little word with them?
I would love you to have a little word with them.
OK, fine. Tara.
How very frustrating.
Oh, it is annoying. But honestly, what always annoys me, Julie, somehow you've ended up on my programme.
Yeah.
I'm delighted.
Because I know your programme.
Okay, great. Well, that's fantastic. What about all the people in this country that either don't live in beds, hearts and bucks, or people who live in beds, hearts and bucks, but for whatever reason don't listen to my programme, who come across retailers like that, who end up saying, oh, OK, well, thanks very much, because they don't know any better? How many retailers are taking advantage of customers who don't know what their rights are?
I know.
It's happening all the time. It drives me absolutely mad.
I know.
Oh, dear, oh, dear. Right, OK.
I've plucked up courage now.
Well, yes, I'm on your side. Don't you worry. Leave it with me. I'll go and have a word with them for you. I'll pass you back to Tara. We'll get some detail.
OK, thank you very much, Jonathan.
All right. Hang on there, Julie. 08081 008800. If you have a consumer problem, that's the number to call. Now, Michael came to me. Michael was telling me he had major heart surgery in February of this year. This was after being admitted to hospital originally with angina pains on January the 31st. He ended up having to have, I think it was a heart bypass operation. Very, very major surgery. Well, he was in hospital for a while. When he was released, he went back to his council property, fully hoping for nice rest and relaxation to get his strength back. But when he opened the front door, well, he was faced with an absolute nightmare.
After having been released from hospital after major heart surgery, which included a double heart bypass, the hospital transport drove me home. When I opened the front door, I was greeted by a wave of water, and there was water still pouring down from the loft into the living room, ruining everything in there, including my computer and lots of electrical stuff I had in there, etc., etc. I went to my next door neighbour because my battery was dead. I hadn't been able to charge it while in hospital, and they phoned up the council for me, emergencies only, but they couldn't get through to anybody on that number. So I had nowhere to go, nowhere to live. So the hospital driver said, right, I'll take you back to the hospital.
Well, Michael ended up in a hotel with his little dog. But when he came to me, he said, look, I just want to go home. I want to go home, but it just feels as if the council are not really doing very much at all to fix my property, to fix the leak, to get it all back to a reasonable standard so I can go home. So he asked if I could speak to the council and try and get things sorted for him. Well, I did indeed go off and have a word with the council. They came back with a response, and last time I spoke to Michael, he was very unhappy, very angry. He's back on the JVS show now. Hello, Michael.
Hello, Jonathan.
So you'll recall the council concerned, this is Central Bedfordshire Council, they came back with this response. They said, we are working closely with the tenant to help him return to his property as soon as it's safe to do so, following a leak in the property. The leak meant that the electrics in his home were not safe to use. So this caused some delay as we couldn't carry out work until they were dry. The electrics have now been turned back on, and the only outstanding work is to replace a damaged ceiling in the property. Drying out a property in cold weather takes time, but we are working as fast as we can to carry out the repairs safely. As the tenant recently left hospital, we paid for hotel accommodation for him, so he has somewhere warm and safe to stay with his dog while the repair work is carried out. We are in contact with the tenant and have provided him with the contact details of council officers in case he has any outstanding concerns that we can help him with. Well, when you and I last spoke, you said that you were now back in your property, but you were very annoyed. You said that it was still not sorted. It was still damp. You said that the council had taken the dehumidifier away. They hadn't given you any special heaters to try and dry the property out. You said the electrics are still shorting. You said that the ceiling in a part of the house is still missing and needs to be repaired. And you said that you'd got a rat infestation, just to add insult to injury. You were really annoyed, and you felt as if the council, you used the word incompetent on the programme, you felt they were being incompetent and were not getting the matter resolved. And you suggested at one point during our discussion that you were so angry you were going to sue them. So I went back to Central Bedfordshire Council again and explained your anger and frustration and annoyance, and they came back with another response. And I have that here in front of me. Are you sitting comfortably, Michael?
Yep.
They say, we wrote to the tenant last week to inform him of our serious concerns. We recognise that he would prefer to be in his home, and we have to respect his choices. We have identified a number of safety issues within the property, and we have informed him of a number of actions he can take to address these issues if he wishes to remain at home. For example, the mould cannot be treated until areas in the home have been cleaned, and this is something we can support him with. The tenant has also chosen not to have a gas supply to his home, and the council have offered alternative electric heating, which has been refused. Recent dehumidifiers placed in the property have reduced moisture levels. However, the property needs to be properly heated to fully dry out, which will help resolve the mould issue. We're happy to continue paying for hotel accommodation while the property dries out if he would prefer to move somewhere more comfortable, whilst working with us to resolve the issues. We have offered other avenues of support to the tenant, including financial advice and a referral to our independent living team, if this is something he would like. We will continue to liaise with the tenant to try and agree solutions to these issues. So that certainly makes it sound, Michael, as if they really are bending over backwards to try and help you and to accommodate your wishes. How do you feel now?
That is the way it's meant to sound, Jonathan. That is not what's happening in actual fact. But there has been, if you like, development in as much as they have offered me alternative accommodation, i.e. a different house, which I'm thinking about. But to move, my house is chock-a-block full with stuff. To move is a horrendous task. I've built a lot of stuff into the place, and to move would be a trauma in itself at this moment in time. Mm-hmm. But I'm still thinking about it.
They make it sound in that statement, because last time you were on the programme, you said you were back in your home, and the way it sounded was as if the council had told you, yeah, it's all fine, it's all sorted, you can go back home. From their statement, it sounds as if you were very, very, very keen to go home. Not necessarily in their agreement. They, of course, couldn't stop you moving home, but it sounds from their statement as if they still felt it was not ideal for you to go home.
Well, I have it in writing that they said it was perfectly safe for me to go home, and that's what I expected. And furthermore, Jonathan, may I add, they could have done what they had done up to the point when I moved home within a couple of days of my reporting the issue and the neighbours reporting the issue, not 3 weeks. It was just short of 3 weeks before they even put dehumidifiers in. Mm-hmm. And they were removed before I moved back in and left the place soaking wet and mouldy, wallpaper hanging off. The roof still hasn't been plastered. I patched it up, but it still hasn't been plastered. And I haven't done the full estimation yet, but all my electrical stuff has been ruined. My computer, my two computers, my two printers, all been ruined. My telephone's been ruined. The telephone line was ruined, which has been fixed now, but that's no thanks to the council. I haven't estimated it all properly yet, itemised it all. There's been at least £2,000 worth of damage done to my personal property.
Yes, but the problem that you have, Michael, and look, I'm completely prepared to be as fair as I possibly can to try and help you out with this, but I feel as if you also need to be fair. I mean, you said to me when I asked you if you had any contents insurance, your answer was no, I can't afford that. And then you went on and talked about how you've got a sauna installed in your house. You've just talked on my programme about your computers, your two printers that have been destroyed. I mean, we all have priorities in life, and we all have to work out of the income that we have, whether that be a salary, whether that be benefits, whether that be a pension. We all have to work out what is a priority. And for most of us, we recognise that ensuring the contents of our property, everything that we have worked hard to buy, is actually quite important. And yet you hadn't ever prioritise contents insurance, which I have to be honest, in a property where you're just looking at contents, it would not have been that much.
Well, I've no idea how much it costs, but I've never had contents insurance in my life, because the reason being is that I'm not likely to do anything that's going to damage anything in my house.
Okay, so should I have contents insurance? Because I'm not likely to do anything to damage anything in my house either.
Well, it's up to you. It's your choice, isn't it?
Well, it would be foolish of me not to have contents insurance, because I've worked hard for the contents in my house, and I have no idea whether somebody might burgle me. I have no idea whether a leak might occur in my property while I'm on holiday or when I'm not in the house. I have no idea whether one day something might catch fire in my house and burn the place down and I lose all of my contents. So...
Well, that's a risk you take, Jonathan.
Yes, but that's the... hang on a second then. That's the risk you took as well. By not insuring your contents, you have to recognise that whilst the council may have absolute responsibility to get your property dry and to get your property up and running again, to hold them accountable entirely for all of your possessions that have been destroyed in this leak may not be actually considered that fair.
Well, I disagree. I mean, if the council can't have a property in the right state of repair and order as to not have the pipes freeze up, i.e. insulate them properly, it wouldn't have happened. This accommodation supplied by a landlord has to be fit to live in and fit not to cause any hazard.
Yes,
to
but when you are privately renting a property, you still have to take out contents insurance.
You don't have to. I don't agree.
Well, no, you don't have to, but then you have to recognise if something goes wrong and your contents are destroyed, you're going to lose everything.
The odds of that happening is rare. Insurance companies work on a basis they collect a lot of money from a lot of different people, and the amount of money they collect overhand offsets the few that's going to claim one, and they'll make a profit out of the money.
Okay, well, look, let me lay my cards on the table, Michael. I'm more than happy to continue to work with the council to get your property dry and in a fit state for you to live in if you want to stay there. Regarding the contents and the stuff that has been destroyed as a result of this leak, and the fact that you did not ever prioritise taking out contents insurance for your contents, that's going to be something you're going to have to deal with alone.
Well, I will. I'm quite happy to do that. I've already got someone, a no-win, no-fee solicitor to take it on for me, so they don't take it on unless they know they're going to win. So I'm not worried about that side of it.
Okay.
You know.
So what more do you need from me then? I mean, I've laid my cards on the table. You lay yours on the table. What do you need me to do now?
Well, it depends what happens here. You know, I don't know. I still don't know what's going to happen. What the council say they're going to do and what they do is two different things.
Well, there seem to be a few issues. Firstly, they have said that they're prepared for you to go back into a hotel while they continue to work on your property. So you're not living in this damp, mouldy house. Do you want to do that?
No.
Right.
Because for a start, you can't eat. The hotel I was in Hotcliffe, right, there was no shops within 2 miles. And the tiny little shop that was there, it was too much of a walk for me to go. No buses. It's too much of a walk for me to go in there. I was trapped in one little room, nowhere to walk the dog virtually for a considerable period of time. I don't want to go back into that environment.
Okay. So you don't want to go into the hotel. You're saying that they've also offered you the opportunity to have a completely different council property.
Now that I will consider.
Right.
But like I say...
I think you've got two choices. You either say, yeah, okay, I would rather do that and move, or you've got to recognise that until your property is going to be resolved, I'm afraid you're going to be living in less than ideal conditions.
Yes, well, I've dried it out now. I've had fan heaters going since I moved back.
Right.
And now it is drying out.
Okay.
You know, it is practically dried out now, but that is down to me, not the council.
Fine. Okay, so what do you now need from me?
Well, I think you've done a good job, Jonathan. I mean, I don't know if it's coincidence or not, but since you've been involved, the council has been taking this matter more seriously, i.e., offering me a different house, even a bigger one, and I'm only one person. So you have obviously had an effect, and so you've.
So are you saying you don't need any more of my help? I've done enough.
I don't think so. I don't think really. But this is a lesson to everybody. You know what's happened to me.
Well, yes. One of the main lessons I would say to everybody is make sure you've got the contents of your property insured.
Well, we differ on that. You don't have.
Well,
to have,
we may do, but I'm right.
I don't agree.
Okay.
I don't agree.
So just to conclude this then, so do you need any more of my help, or shall I say goodbye to you and you just come back to me if you do need any help in the future?
Yes, I think that would be fair enough. You've helped. You have already helped.
Fine. Well, listen, you just let me know if you need me to go back to them again. Please keep me posted and let me know, how things pan out. But I'll now just kind of take a sit back on this, and I'll wait for you to come to me if you need me.
Yeah. Oh, incidentally, it's just one other point before I go. As a consequence of me being messed about for a month, I've got another appointment with Harefields Hospital, which I'm not going to be able to keep because I have not been able to do the necessary research on my condition and the following treatment because I've got no computer. So I'm not going to really keep that appointment. But that's just another side issue of the many issues that this has created. My life has been desecrated completely. And my standard of living, my everything has been. Incidentally, you talked about that sauna. I built the sauna. The sauna would have cost £4,000 to buy, get a rip-off. I built it myself for a couple of £100.
Right. So does it still work?
Yes. It wasn't in the same room. It was in a different room.
Right. Well, hopefully you can go and spend the weekend sitting in your sauna having a relax, because it sounds like you need it.
I already have. And will continue to do so.
Okay, thank you very much indeed. My tia came to me. Patrizia's Italian, and she wanted to send something to a friend back in the country of her birth. It was a watch for £160, a very nice gift.
On the 1st of February, obviously, I told my friend that there would be something coming from the United Kingdom. They had to accept it. So they were aware that there would be a delivery, and then I called them on the 1st, and nothing had been delivered, and they'd not been contacted. What has happened is that the parcel did arrive in Italy. It was stopped at customs because there were some duties to pay. Now, I was not made aware that there would even be the chance of having, for anyone to have to pay extra. Obviously, I would have wanted to pay any extra. Custom couldn't get in touch with anyone. They kept the parcel for a couple of days, I guess. And then no one knows where the parcel is.
So where is the parcel? It seems to have just vanished into thin air. No one's able to give Patrizia an answer as to where this parcel is, and she's understandably very unhappy about it. Well, I'm pretty unhappy about this as well, but I'll explain more in just a second. Patrizia's back on the JVS show. Hello, Patrizia.
Good morning, Jonathan.
Good morning. The reason why I'm getting pretty annoyed about this, I contacted the courier company that you used to send this product to Italy on the 26th of February. And I have had to chase this courier company. The company is DPD. I've had to chase them several times. I've been assured of responses coming back. No response has been forthcoming. And I'm getting pretty annoyed about it, to be honest with you. Now, have you heard anything? Have they been in touch with you to explain what's going on?
They haven't. As in, what has happened is that they contacted me to say you'd been in touch. And obviously, they were not able to share any information with you because of GDPR. I then gave my consent for them to share the information with you.
Yeah.
And still haven't heard anything. And then when I sent an email to check how things were a few days ago, they replied saying, "Oh, we're in touch with the BBC now. If you want any news, go through them."
But they're not, because, I mean, the last I received from DPD, and sorry, please accept my apologies, the first contact I made with them was actually on the 21st of February, so it was even earlier than I said. The last response I have had, and as I say, I've been chasing this up several times a week, was, all I can say, this is from their press officer, all I can say at the moment is that the search is continuing.
Right.
So you've used DPD to send this parcel to Italy. They don't seem to have any idea where it is. They tell me the search is continuing. They are unable
but that's
to...
not very good, is it? The search is continuing.
No, it's not. No, it's
Jonathan,
not.
Can I just say there is a further complication, because obviously I didn't buy the service from DPD directly. I used a comparison site. And you've got all the paperwork.
Yes, I'm aware of that. The comparison site haven't responded at all.
And that is exactly what I found. You know, the comparison site has not responded at all. And the only ones that have been slightly more active on the research or search for this parcel is the actual courier that you've mentioned now. It's DPD. But you know, I'm really left nowhere. I'm left hanging with no information, no idea where the parcel is. And the comparison site has not even refunded the money for a service that obviously didn't happen.
Well, look, as far as I'm concerned, I'm just astonished that they have come to you and have said, if you want any information, I will be able to give you all the information. When they have, I mean, literally that response that I read, the search is continuing, is the only line I have got out of DPD. Now, we know that as a result of us leaving the transition period at the end of December, we know that there have been issues in terms of goods being sent over to European countries, and there being an issue with paperwork, and there being an issue with customs. We know that that's going on. So, of course, there is a level of expectation that maybe this has been delayed somewhere. But the fact that they don't seem to even know where it is, and they haven't come back with any idea as to, oh, well,
it's unacceptable,
we have traced this parcel and we can confirm it is currently sitting at so-and-so. We are in negotiation with customs in Italy, or whatever it may be, in order to release the parcel to the recipient. If they were saying something like that, at least we could say, okay, well, they're trying to deal with a bit of a bureaucratic nightmare. But they don't even seem to know where it is. No. The search is continuing, they say.
And you know, one thing I realised in hindsight, that possibly I was very naive, thinking that in January a domestic parcel, I'm not talking here about commercial exportation of goods. I'm talking about a small parcel going from one home in the United Kingdom to one home in Italy would incur any problems. I printed out all the paperwork that I was given, including all the invoices that were stating what the content was, the value, blah, blah, blah. And when I was talking to DPD, they were telling me that my case apparently is happening over and over again. So none of us non-commercial entities, private individuals, are aware that actually sending anything to Europe is a nightmare.
Well, there are all kinds of issues, and I know of a number of people, and indeed a number of consumers that we're dealing with on this programme, who've ordered goods that are stuck in transit coming from Europe over to this country as well. So there are issues, we know that. But I think the fact that having had all these weeks now
they don't know where it is,
to work out where the parcel is and to come back with some kind of reasonable statement to reassure anyone listening to this programme that using DPD is a sensible thing to do, and they will look after your parcel. They will, in the rare event that the parcel goes missing, they will sort things out with you. They'll make sure that you're given recompense for any loss of whatever you've put in there. I find it just amazing that the best response I can get from them is the search continues. DPD, who will get to hear of this conversation, can I strongly urge you to come back with something more meaningful than this, because this looks dreadful. Patricia, let's leave it there for now. Delia, not the Delia, but Delia was hoping to purchase the food mixer of her dreams. She'd been thinking about it for quite some time, but despite ordering one in the middle of last year, her kitchen worktop is still bare.
I'm a big baker anyway, and I thought, right, I'm going to invest in a new mixer. So I called up the company in question, and when I spoke to them, I then said I was going to go and make the order online. And they said that I could place it with them over the phone. I could get a 30% discount and a free attachment. It was £489 and 30p. But it's a really good one. So I paid for the item back in June of 2020. It was due to be in stock in July. No item turned up in August. They said that they didn't have stock, but the stock date had changed. It was now September. No item arrived. In October, they said, really sorry, but due to the pandemic, it's not due to be in stock until March 2021. Let me give them a quick ring in February and find out what's happening. I need to find out that my order had been cancelled.
Well, it's just a nightmare. I mean, Delia said, to be fair to the company, they've given her her money back, but they paid her back via bank transfer. And because this company that she'd purchased the food mixer from was not based in the United Kingdom, because it was a foreign bank transfer, she's actually incurred fees as a result of it. So let's just take a step back and look at this. She's been left months and months and months and months without the product that she'd ordered. And then when she's given her refund, she's still left out of pocket. You can understand why she's not best pleased. I went off to have a word with the company to try and sort things out. She's back on the JVS show now. Hello, Delia.
Hello, Jonathan.
Hello, Delia. The company concerned is KitchenAid, and they've come back with a response. I spoke to their UK press office, and they've come back with this response. They say, we are extremely sorry to hear about Delia's recent purchasing experience, and we apologise for the inconvenience. Since you pointed this out, Jonathan, we've been in touch with Delia, and we're working with her to make sure she gets the stand mixer she wants. We'll follow up again to ensure it arrives. So that sounds good, and that's what I was hoping for. The way that I phrased my email to them, and I hope you don't mind me doing this, was very much in the hope that they might still pull out all the stops to get you the mixer at the price that you agreed, because ultimately that's what you really want.
Yes, it definitely is. And thank you so much. They have come back to me. Unfortunately, when they did, the mixer is now out of stock. But they've said that they will, once it is back in stock, they will contact me and sell it to me at the price agreed. They're also sending out the attachment now, so I don't have to wait for the attachment to arrive. And they've agreed to give me £150 just for everything that's happened as just an apology. So thank you so much. That's really appreciated that.
Hang on a second. They're giving you 150 quid on top of everything else to say sorry?
Yes.
Oh, my word. Well, I mean, that is generous to an extreme.
It is. I've got my eye on another attachment, so it shan't stay there for too long. But,
Out of interest, where are they made? Because I know, obviously, KitchenAid are a very, very reputable brand. Whereabouts are they made?
I'm not 100% sure, but the company, when I contacted them, it was in Belgium.
Okay.
So I think they're made in Belgium and then they're imported to the UK, but I'm unsure on how they're managing to. They're not able to send it to the individuals directly, but they're able to send it to their warehouse in the UK. I believe it's the way that they're working.
Are they an American company originally, but they have a European base?
I'm not 100% sure, I've got to be honest.
Well, there we go.
I do know that they last an absolute long period of time, and they are renowned.
Yeah, it was. Where was this? Yeah, American originally. They're an American company, but I presume they might. Ohio. Almost a century ago, Ohio engineer Herbert Johnson invented another miraculous machine that was going to revolutionise the lives of cooking experts. That's how it all started. But obviously they must be made somewhere in Europe or brought over from Europe, and obviously at the moment that may well be a bit of a difficulty. So are you prepared to wait?
Yes, I am. It's a really good mixer, and it's actually I just need to make sure that it's in stock on their UK website. Once it's in stock there, then I can get it.
Then you can get it. Okay, well, let's just hope that a shipping container will come over full of food mixers for you. I'm going to give KitchenAid this. A bit of the horn. They're not getting any more until you've actually got it sitting on your worktop. Can you please come back to us and let us know?
So, in November 2016, I purchased a new range cooker. Ordered at the end of November 2016, and it was delivered. I had to order it online. The store didn't keep it in stock, so I had to order it from their website, and it was delivered direct from the manufacturer sometime in December in 2016. And it all went very well, and everything was fine. And
how much was it?
It was £1,800, £1,799.
Okay.
And since that time, all has been well up until last Wednesday, when the element on the fan oven failed. It tripped the electrical supply in the house. That's how I know it had gone. And I'm comfortable with electrics, so I've narrowed it down, and I know what has caused the problem, and it's that the fan element's broken, worn out. And I think it's just over 4 years, and I don't think that is fantastic, but I do accept that it is kind of a consumable, and it's going to go at some point. So,
yes, it will do at some point. And depending on, I don't know how often you have the oven on, but depending on how often you use the oven will play a part in how long the element you can expect to last for.
Yeah. So I wasn't too upset about that. It's the oven that gets used the most. So fair enough. So I thought, well, I'm quite comfortable with this. It's out of guarantee. I'll have a look at it myself. So I've got to the element quite easily, and it's held in with some quite tricky fixings, not just a couple of Phillips screws that I was expecting. They've made it difficult. So I thought, I'll have a look at the manufacturer's website and see if I can find out what the deal is. So there's a proper website with a parts sales department, and I do the whole thing, search for the part, and it's no longer available, the part. I can't buy the part from them, a new element. And so I thought, well, I'll phone the retailer, the people I've bought it from, as that's who I had the contract with.
That's very unusual that the element is not available even 4 years later.
Yeah.
That's very unusual. I mean, in fact, and it gives me an opportunity just to talk about this again very briefly, but did you see the new EU law that is going to become our law as well this year?
I think I've seen it's to ensure that the parts are made available for a certain period of time.
Not only that, but yes, you're right. The law will change this year so that any manufacturers have to make sure that parts are available for products for up to 10 years from the date of purchase. But also, it's going to be set in stone. The law will dictate that we are reasonably entitled to expect that products will be repairable and will last for much longer. So, I fully anticipate that possibly means that we will see an increase in the price of goods. Right. But it does mean that we are going to hopefully move away from this kind of horrible mentality that we've got into, where we just buy stuff, it lasts for a couple of years, then we take it to the tip and chuck it away and buy a new one, because it's just so wasteful, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
So the idea of a cooker that can't be repaired because they no longer make an element for it will hopefully soon become a thing of the past.
Yeah.
And are you sure? No, it's not. Well, not necessarily. It depends if does anyone else make a universal element that goes into your cooker?
Well, what's happened is, I went to the retailer, and spoke to them, and they said, it's out of guarantee, you've got to phone the manufacturer. We can't do it. They were adamant I had to do it, so I had to phone the manufacturer in the end.
Yeah.
And I spoke to a lovely fella, and he told him what was going on, and he said, hang on, I'll have a look. And he came back and said, you're absolutely right, the part is not available. It's been made obsolete.
Right.
He said, I went, okay. I said, have you got a recommended alternative? No. He said, which is strange. Normally in this situation, my system tells me that part has been made obsolete, supply this one instead. Or at least there's some information about the old part that would help you, but there's nothing here at all. Mm-hmm. And he said, I don't know why that is. And he, in fairness, he did his best, and he went off and he spoke to, he said, I want to speak to the specialist parts manager and I'll come back to you. And within a couple of hours, he had come back to me and said, I can't believe it. They've said there's nothing we can do. They gave me an approximate wattage of the element, but that's all they could give me. So I've got no drawings or sizes or anything.
Okay. Well, in that case, you would need to go back to the retailer and say to the retailer, I've had this product for less than 5 years. I've paid you £1,800 for it. It's a lot of money. I'd expected this to be a very good quality cooker that was going to last me for a very reasonable amount of time. A fundamental part of it now can't be used, and it would appear, unrepairable. Therefore, under my statutory rights, I'm coming back to you as the retailer, and I'm holding you responsible for sorting this problem out. So how do you want to resolve it? Do you want to replace the cooker for me, or do you want to give me my money back, or a proportion of my money back?
Well, I did go back to the retailer after getting this information, and they really weren't interested, which I found very surprising.
Okay.
They
well, maybe they
I
need...
wasn't quite as concise about it as you are, but that was the point I was making, that this isn't really acceptable, is it? And I said, what do you want me to do with it? Landfill it? Are you expecting me just to, throw this one away and come and buy another one from you? I said, it's crazy.
And just out of interest, what might be worth doing... have you spoken to any independent domestic appliance engineers?
Yeah, I spoke to one the other day,
mm-hmm.
And they supply, it's quite a large local one, and they supply and repair and all sorts of domestic appliances. And I spoke to the parts guy, and he said he would do his best to help me. When I told him the exact situation and I gave him the model and all the rest of it, and he said, hang on, I'll have a look. And he went, you're absolutely right. He said, I can't believe it. He said, I've never seen this before. I've been doing this for 20 years. I've never seen an item not have a replacement recommendation for a unit that's only 4 years old. If the original was not available. I've never seen it.
It's completely unacceptable. It's completely unacceptable. Right.
But he is willing to help me.
Right.
If need be.
But can he, because I remember many years ago, I had a fairly cheap oven in a property that I was living in. It was one of these kind of cheap, when it's not even got a proper brand on it, this oven. It was there in the flat before I bought it, and the Element went on it. And I tried to look around, and in the end I ended up managing to source a kind of universal Element that worked with it. I had to pay a domestic appliance engineer. He just came and fitted it for me, and that oven worked brilliantly ever from that moment on. But it was a kind of generic one because I couldn't even really work out what the brand of oven was. So it may well be that there is something that can be used to repair it, but it would be very nice if either the retailer or the manufacturer could actually find it for you. And if they can't, then they're going to have to sort something else out, because this is unacceptable that you're left with a cooker that you can't use. Can you leave this with us? Tara?
Hello.
Hello. Can we get some detail? Can we go and have a little word and see what we can organise? There must be some solution to this. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, do you know what? It's the sort of thing. I should ask my dad. He collects everything. He's probably got an Element in his garage somewhere.
Well, yeah, I'm not sure we're going to necessarily just try some of your dad's Elements out of the shed. But, if we can find another route, that might be better. OK, Chris, can you leave it with us? I'll pass you back to Tara. We'll get some detail. OK.
Thanks very much.
Hang on there, please. If you're listening to that, and if you know anything about Elements for ovens, any of my domestic appliance engineers, if you're able to provide any suggestions, it'd be quite useful. Drop me an email. Now, a couple of years ago, In November 2018, to be precise, Dick purchased an AV amplifier.
It's a box of electronics. You connect to your Blu-ray DVD player and you put lots of speakers on it, and the idea is to reproduce a cinema sound in your own home. 2 or 3 times a week I watch a movie. I paid £1,789 for it, and it's been great. I've had about 8 of these over the past 40-odd years and never had a problem with any of them. Anyway, switched this one on a few weeks ago, started smoking, so I turned it off. It was a 2-year warranty and it was 8 weeks out, but I thought, well, I'll contact the retailer. So I contacted them, told them my problem, and they gave me an address of a repair centre that would look at it. So I wasn't too happy about that.
Well, I can understand why. He then contacted the manufacturer. They gave him the same address. I went and spoke to the company that he purchased this amplifier from, and the argument I made to them was under the Consumer Rights Act of 2015, the product hasn't lasted for a reasonable amount of time, and they therefore are duty-bound to do something to help him. Well, they made it very clear they would really rather not enter into conversations with me. They just came back and said, if you don't mind, we'll just get this sorted for the customer. Well, that's fine. I mean, I'm not precious about it. I just want the customer to be sorted out. When I last spoke to Dick, he was feeling much happier. They said, yep, we're going to cover the full cost of the repair to your amplifier. But I gather there's been a twist. What's the latest? Dick's back on the JVS show. Hello, Dick.
Hello, Jonathan.
What's going on? I gather there's been a slight spanner in the works.
Yes, the retailer has passed the information on to the repair centre to do it, which is good. But they've got to source the part from somewhere in Europe. So I'm told that will take about a week.
Yeah.
And it'll be done in 2 weeks, they reckon. But at the end, it does say about problems with customs in Europe, so it might be delayed even longer.
Well, let's just keep fingers crossed you are not going to end up waiting for this part for ages, because yes, indeed, some imports from Europe are ending up getting stuck in customs, and it's proving to be a bit of a difficulty. But I guess at this stage, Dick, we don't know what's going to happen. So they're giving you a rough timetable of about 2 weeks, yeah?
Yeah, that's it.
But they are also caveating it with, but just to let you know, things might go wrong if the part gets stuck in customs.
Yeah.
Well, let's just really hope that doesn't happen. And unfortunately, it does mean that for the next couple of weeks, film night round Dick's house is going to be off.
Well, yeah, it's you're right.
Yeah. Well, never mind. Listen, can you please keep me in the loop? If in 2 weeks' time you still haven't got it back fixed, then I can, go and have a word and see if I can apply a little bit of light pressure. But I think we are just going to have to wait until they've got that part in.
Okay, Jonathan. Incidentally, when this is fixed, all you get is a 90-day warranty. Which
forget the warranty. Your rights as a customer started on the date that you purchased the product. Regardless of whether they have to fix it in the meantime, you are still entitled to expect that product to last for a reasonable amount of time going forward. This was an expensive amplifier. It should last for much longer, and certainly much longer than another 3 months.
Right, yeah. Thank you.
So don't worry about warranties. Put the warranty to one side. The fact is your rights, as per the Consumer Rights Act, protect you for considerably longer. Dick, all the best. I'll speak in a couple of weeks.